Hey guys, tonight we're not setting sail into the roughest waters history has to offer. No greasy pirates, no splintery ships groaning under bad decisions, and no parrots loudly exposing everyone's secrets. Nope. Tonight, we're drifting into something far more unsettling, far more mysterious, and deeply rooted in prophecy. The true account of the only companion who encountered the Dajjal, Tamim Ad-Dari. But before we step into storm-tossed seas, forgotten islands, and one of the most chilling encounters recorded in Islamic tradition, take a second to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy these quiet, thoughtful journeys into faith, history, and the unseen. And leave a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is. Somehow, it's always 2 a.m. somewhere. And honestly, stories like this were made for 2 a.m., when the world is silent and the imagination listens more closely. Now dim those lights. Turn on a fan for that soft, white noise hum, like waves brushing against a lonely shore. Get comfortable, wrap yourself in warmth, and maybe tuck your feet in. Not because imaginary rats are plotting anything tonight, but because this story carries a cold wind from the edge of the unseen. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered how prophecies feel before they happen? Not as dramatic announcements, but as quiet truths waiting in the dark, revealed only to a few? Tonight, we're exploring a rare and extraordinary event, the journey of Tamim Ad-Dari, a traveler whose ship was swallowed by storms and cast upon an unknown island. An island where silence felt heavy, where shadows watched back, where a strange, chained being waited, claiming a destiny that would shake the world. This isn't a legend passed down through rumor. This is a narration confirmed by the Prophet ﷺ himself. A real encounter, a real warning, and a glimpse into one of the greatest trials humanity will ever face. But don't worry, we're not here to frighten or overwhelm. We're moving slowly, gently, like walking through a story by lantern light, where every step is careful and every word matters. We'll explore the storm that led Tamim Ad-Dari astray, the strange creature that guided him inland, the meeting that answered questions humanity hadn't yet learned to ask, and the warning that still echoes quietly through time. Tonight is about awareness, about reflection, about understanding how divine knowledge is sometimes revealed, not to crowds, but to a single traveler lost at sea. So settle in. Let your breathing slow. Let the noise of the day fade away. Tonight, we unveil one of the most haunting encounters in Islamic history, the only companion to meet the Dajjal, and the story he was meant to carry back. Ready? Let's begin. Ready? Chapter 1. Tamim Ad-Dari, the Seeker of Distant Horizons. The sun hangs high above the eastern provinces of the Roman Empire, pouring its golden light across vast stretches of desert and stone. The land shimmers beneath the heat, yet life moves steadily through it, guided by ancient roads and even older instincts. At the head of a long, well-organized caravan rides a man whose presence feels both calm and searching, Tamim Ad-Dari, a well-traveled Arab Christian merchant in the prime of his life. His caravan moves with practiced rhythm. Camels sway gently under the weight of goods gathered from distant lands. Woven fabrics, spices sealed in clay jars, polished metalwork, and scrolls wrapped carefully against sand and sun. Each animal's footfall presses a quiet pattern into the desert floor, marks that will soon be erased by wind, just as many journeys are forgotten by time. Tamim rides slightly ahead, his eyes scanning the horizon. He is not merely a trader counting profit and distance. There is something attentive in his gaze, something reflective. He listens as much as he watches, to the wind, to the stories exchanged by fellow travelers, to the unspoken questions that rise in long stretches of silence. Though a man of commerce, Tamim is also a scholar at heart. He speaks easily with monks, priests, and travelers of many lands, always eager to hear what they believe, what they fear, and what they hope lies beyond the visible world. The Roman East is a crossroads of ideas, and Tamim absorbs them all, scripture and rumor, prophecy, and philosophy, weighing each with thoughtful care. The caravan pauses briefly at a sun-washed outpost, its stone walls glowing pale against the blue sky. Water is shared, packs are adjusted, conversations drift lazily through the heat. Tamim listens to a passing traveler speak of strange signs, of distant islands, of ancient warnings preserved in old texts. He does not dismiss such talk. He stores it quietly within, as a man who senses that the world holds more than what trade alone can explain. As the caravan moves again, the desert opens wide, vast, and humbling. There is something about this land that strips away illusion. Under such an endless sky, power feels small, certainty fragile. Tamim feels it deeply, the sense that human knowledge, no matter how learned, remains incomplete. The sun begins its slow descent, softening the harsh light into warm, amber tones. Shadows lengthen beside the caravan, stretching like silent companions across the sand. Tamim reflects on the faith he inherited, the scriptures he has studied, and the questions that still stir within him. He is not restless, but receptive, a man preparing unknowingly for a truth that will one day change the course of his life. At night, the caravan rests beneath a sky scattered with stars. A small fire flickers, its light dancing across thoughtful faces. Tamim gazes upward, tracing constellations passed down through generations. The heavens feel vast, ordered, intentional. He wonders what role humanity truly plays within such a design, and whether history is moving toward something unseen but inevitable. In these quiet moments, Tamim is more than a merchant. He is a witness to the tension between the known and the hidden, between commerce and meaning, between tradition and revelation. His journey through the Roman East is not merely geographical, it is spiritual, unfolding step by step without his full awareness. The caravan will soon move again, pressing onward through lands shaped by empire, belief, and prophecy. And though Tamim does not yet know it, his path is quietly aligning with a story far greater than trade routes or desert roads. For this seeker of truth, this man shaped by travel and reflection, is drawing closer to an encounter unlike any other, one that will carry his name into the annals of sacred history, as the only companion to witness a trial reserved for the very end of time. But for now, he rides on beneath the fading sun, a curious soul in motion, guided by questions he cannot yet answer, moving steadily toward a destiny written long before the caravan ever set out. Chapter 2. The Humble Request of Tamim Ad-Dari. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Tonight we embark on a journey as refreshing as a cool breeze on a scorching Arabian night. Destination: 630 CE, Medina, where history is bustling more than a market on a holiday. Imagine this. You arrive in a city that's more alive than a rooster at dawn, where the scents of spices and warm bread mingle like old friends catching up over a hearty meal. Now, let's set the scene. Picture yourself walking through the lively streets, where children dart about like playful gazelles, and vendors shout their wares louder than your uncle after a few too many cups of chai. You might even wonder, do they have sales? Buy one loaf, get a date free. Now that's a bargain more enticing than a double espresso before a long meeting. Amidst the cheerful chaos, you catch sight of a name you might not know yet: Tamim Ad-Dari. Do you think he ever accidentally mistook a date for a marble? Because trust me, the idea of marbles in his bag while looking for dates sounds a tad jarring, albeit funny. But I digress. Congratulations, you've just woken up in 630 CE, where the air hums with divine whispers, and the promise of an epic tale is as palpable as the ripening olives on the trees. And tonight, we see Tamim standing respectfully before none other than our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Let's dive into this scene, shall we? Amidst a setting that shines brighter than a five-star Arabian feast, you find Tamim, a man defined by humility, addressing the Prophet with eyes filled with sincerity and resolve. "O Messenger of Allah," he says, the words flowing from his lips like water from a fresh spring. I humbly ask for a portion of the land in Bethlehem. Let it be a waqf endowment for my family, you see, a gift to sustain them in faith and service. Imagine that, a man requesting land, not for himself, but as an act of worship. Could you even think of asking for something so noble in today's world without a social media campaign? Tamim needs land, waqf for the fam. As the two converse, the scene unfolds with the warmth of a delightful embrace between tradition and aspiration. The mood is almost palpable, thick with hope. You'd think you could slice it up and serve it at a gathering. Tamim's request stems from a heart that beats for faith. A heart filled with dreams about a thriving Islamic community growing in the lands of Palestine. But what does faith taste like, you wonder? Is it sweet like honey, or bitter like a day forgotten? Perhaps it's a blend of both, a dash of struggles and a sprinkle of divine blessings. The prophet listens intently, projecting an aura of calm and understanding that seems to blanket the surrounding crowd. After all, this is not just any request. It's a request that holds the essence of future generations, the kind of appeal that pulls at the very fabric of what is to come, the strength of the Islamic Ummah.
"O Tamim," the Prophet replies, resonating with encouragement. "This request of yours is as sublime as the finest date. Putting faith into future seeds sown in Bethlehem could yield blessings deeper than the roots of the oldest palm tree." You can almost hear the collective "aww" from the crowd, like a choir hitting a harmonious note. But wait, did the prophet just compare Tamim's dream to a date? Now that's layers upon layers of sweetness. Imagine a mystifying thought creeping in. How does a humble endowment of land hold more power than a treasure chest overflowing with gold? Maybe it's because the land, imbued with purpose, will host prayers, laughter, and acts of kindness that ripple through time, much like the waves gently caressing the shores of the Red Sea. As the discussion continues, you find yourself captivated by the unassuming nature of Tamim. He's not a king, nor a scribe, but a man who embodies the heart of what it means to give selflessly, a reflection of faith in action. Imagine the wise elder standing nearby, nodding along, whispering to his companion, "You see, nothing says I love my family like asking for land to build communal blessings." You might chuckle at that thought, and yourself suddenly realize, do you have a place or a cause you would fight for? Would you stand before the great people of history and make your voice heard? Perhaps raising your hands to invoke humility just as Tamim did? The crowd disperses with murmurs of inspiration and gratitude. In the warmth of the evening sun, Tamim leaves with a heart full of hope, a vision for his family's future, and the reassurance that faith, when mixed with the right intentions, can plant seeds across faraway lands, sprouting into towering palm trees of belief, unity, and love. And as you lay in your soft, cozy bed, imagine drifting off to sleep, thinking about the land in Bethlehem, the humble requests of those who came before, and the laughter echoing through its streets, wondering, what dreams lie ahead for those willing to give the most simple of gifts? Do they hold the keys to futures richer than jewels? Indeed, these stories linger like a sweet scent that wafts through the air long after they've disappeared. So, as you find comfort in your dreams tonight, may you remember the lovely lesson from Tamim Ad-Dari, whose humble wish illuminated more than just land. It illuminated the very path for future generations, teaching us that hope, when wrapped in sincerity, is truly a treasure. Sleep well, dear listeners. Chapter 3. Whispers of the Bazaar. Salam alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. As we settle in for the night, imagine yourself in a marketplace from a time long lost, where the aroma of spices dances through the air like an overenthusiastic dancer at a wedding. Too much twirling, too little coordination.
Tonight, we're visiting a bustling bazaar in Ash-Sham during the year 630 CE, where it was quieter than your neighbor's secret stash of Halloween candy. Or was it? How do you think people shopped back then? Did merchants have delightful discounts, like buy one camel, get the second half off? Did they haggle, like they were in the Olympics of bargaining? And what if someone accidentally dropped a spice sack? Would it unleash a cloud so fragrant that even the camels would get jealous? So, grab your favorite cozy blanket, dim the lights, and let your imagination drift as we drop into this precinct of yore. A time when the essence of humanity intertwined with divine revelations. And let's say, there was quite a bit of gossip too. Let's talk about the marketplace, a veritable microcosm of society. Picture yourself surrounded by a kaleidoscope of colors, vibrant textiles hanging like wafting flags of joy and laughter. You hear traders shouting sales and catching up on family gossip, punctuated by the occasional clattering of wooden carts. There's a special blend of boiling lentil soup bubbling in the pot next to you, so rich with flavor that if it were any richer, it could consider itself royalty. But here's where things get interesting. Tucked away under a canopy, there's a certain man named Tamim Ad-Dari, your curious guide for the evening. A man with an ear for stories sharper than all the knives in the marketplace. He had settled unassumingly on a mat, engrossed in the whispers floating from the traders of Mecca. "Have you heard about that new prophet?" they urged, eyes twinkling as if they'd received a delicious secret just waiting to be shared. Imagine Tamim, wide-eyed, leaning closer, perhaps too enamored by the novelty. "A new prophet?" he thought. "Is this some kind of divine infomercial? Do I need to call a number or just show up?" What a time to be alive, when revelations flipped life upside down faster than a falafel in hot oil. The traders spoke in excited tones. "He claims he's the last one, the seal of the prophets." You can almost see Tamim raising an eyebrow, picturing the bustling city of Medina, where whispers of guidance and teachings were brewing like afternoon tea. Last prophet, you say? Well, what are they offering? Free drinks? Pitchforks? I only need a pamphlet that says no refunds. As the traders exchanged tales of miracles and wisdom, you can feel the pulse of excitement sinking with Tamim's own racing heart. This was more than just marketplace banter. It was history being born right before his eyes, and he had a front row seat. Questions bubbled in his mind. Is this prophet like a walking Tinder profile, or more like a family group chat no one wants to leave? Underneath the excitement, there's also a twinge of anxiety, a sense of the unknown weaving through Tamim's thoughts. Was he ready to embrace this new faith that demanded so much? Would he leave behind the familiar comfort of old traditions for something entirely new? Perhaps, he mused, just perhaps, I should go see this prophet. Maybe he has a PowerPoint presentation or something. If only there were pamphlets, smartphones, and the ability to Google Prophet of the Year. In this bubbling cauldron of commerce and chatter, Tamim felt a warm glow of connection to something greater, a sense of purpose inspiring him to step beyond the familiar and delve into the narrative unfolding around him. Picture him glancing around the bustling bazaar where the sun was setting, casting golden rays on all the merchants, as if God himself was spotlighting them for their excellent salesmanship of miracles and dreams. With snippets of gossip curling around him like warm cinnamon rolls, Tamim knew this wasn't just a passing fancy. It was an invitation into the divine dance of life. It was clear. He wouldn't find peace in a pile of merchandise or a beautiful silk robe. His journey was set towards something awesomely ineffable. And with that, like someone who suddenly remembered they left the oven on, Tamim scooped up his belongings and made his way through the bazaar, all the while patiently wondering if wearing sandals was considered formal attire in Medina. He chuckled to himself at the absurdity. What do I know? Just follow the light, right? And as the stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, Tamim set off into the unknown, toward the city where revelations awaited him, each step filled with anticipation. Because if there was anything he learned tonight, it was that sometimes the most profound journeys begin with delightful whispers and a playful heart. Stay tuned, dear friends, for as we drift deeper into the tale of Tamim Ad-Dari and the fateful encounter with this new prophet, we'll unveil the mysteries surrounding his adventures, and perhaps even chuckle along the way. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with stories of faith, adventure, and a sprinkle of the delightful absurd.
Chapter 4. The Flickering Flame of Inquiry. Salam alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Tonight, we journey into a world illuminated by the warm glow of flickering oil lamps, brighter than your embarrassment for forgetting that one birthday. You know which one I mean. Here we find ourselves in the year 630 CE, a period bustling with divine revelations and delightful encounters. Imagine a time when people were as curious as cats at a dog show. As you take a moment to visualize the scene, let me ask you, have you ever wondered what it would be like to dive into ancient scrolls, thick with dust but bursting with wisdom? Ever tried to unravel the origins of a new trend, like your aunt who insists that her cat is a vegan? What if you discovered that the trend was a prophet? Would you pack your bags and hop on the nearest camel to see for yourself? And let's be honest, would you ever be brave enough to face a gathering of strangers who might look like they're auditioning for a role in a historical drama, but instead are just trying to sell you fresh dates? Tonight, we meet Tamim Ad-Dari, a man whose heart was as inquisitive as his mind. Picture him, laden with ancient scrolls, the Torah and the Injil, under an oil lamp that flickers like it's trying to do the Macarena. The light casts playful shadows on the walls, flirting with the edges of knowledge and mystery. Tamim's scholarly face, concentrated like a toddler trying to solve a complex puzzle, reveals his pursuit of the latest news tumbling forth from Arabia like an uninteresting yet well-read rumor. Now, here's a man so committed to his craft, you'd think he had an endless supply of coffee bubbling away somewhere nearby, only to find out it's just good old-fashioned enthusiasm. He was determined to confirm the whispers surrounding the new prophet. Yes, the one everyone seemed to be chatting about, as if he were a celebrity who just dropped off a new album. Can you believe it? The seal of the prophets! They gushed at every corner, as if they had just unloaded the punchline of a divine joke. With scrolls around him that spoke of divine wisdom, Tamim leaned in as if eavesdropping on the secrets of the ages. So, what's the deal here? He wondered. Should I rush out to meet this prophet, or can I just subscribe to his YouTube channel for the latest updates? Oh, to have a smartphone back then. Can you imagine the hashtags? Divine prophet, no refunds on faith. Exhaling softly, Tamim felt the weight of the world resting on his scholarly shoulders. The air was thick with the scent of oil and parchment, but mixed in was a bewitching aroma of destiny. Night after night, he pored over those scrolls, looking for signs, confirmations, anything that might give him clarity amidst what felt like a dizzying storm of revelation. What if he found undeniable proof, like an ancient version of a trending tweet? Who knew? Maybe the deep questions he was wrestling with were the very ones that echoed through the ages. Yet, lurking within his heart was that momentary flicker of doubt, like having an ancient ghost nipping at your heels, murmuring, "What if?" at 3 a.m. What will my family think? He pondered. Will my sandal-wearing buddies tease me for following a new trend? What if he offers nothing but suggestions to spruce up my modest wardrobe? The thoughts swirled in his mind like spices in a warm stew, each stirring up exciting possibilities and confusing uncertainties alike. Let's not forget, Tamim had his share of quirky friends who probably didn't take this new prophet seriously. Would they laugh and say, "Hey Tamim, are you buying into this? Next you'll tell us you've switched to kale smoothies." You could practically hear their laughter resonating down the dusty streets of Ash-Sham. One evening, gathering his nerves in that intimate space filled with scrolls, the kind where anyone trying to sneak a snacks would get caught by an ancient parchment paper,
Tamim felt the gentle nudging of providence. In that moment, he realized he was not just a passive observer in this unfolding narrative, but an active participant within the theater hall of life. The flickering lamp danced with excitement, illuminating the pathways of his heart that were opening wider than a tent at a summer camping trip. Maybe this journey, he thought, isn't just about the scrolls or the scrolls' scrolls, but about understanding something much larger than myself. He chuckled to himself, picturing the conversations that would ensue. Would my friends tease me about how I wasn't saving seats at the cafe anymore? Would they ask if I found the ultimate life hack of living in divine trust? And with a resolute heart, Tamim tucked the scrolls under his arm like a special delivery from fate. He strolled out, wide-eyed and aflame with anticipation, as the soft night whispered sweet secrets to him. The echoes of history beckoned him forward, a reminder that sometimes the scariest questions lead to the boldest adventures. So, dear listener, as we drift deeper into Tamim's tale, let's embrace the unknown together, holding on to the joys and the surprises that lie ahead. Who knows what other divine anecdotes await us on this remarkable path? Good night, and may your dreams be filled with delightful adventures that urge you to seek the truths of your heart, always sprinkled with a touch of humor and warmth.
Chapter 5. The Flickering Shadows of Inquiry. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Tonight, prepare yourself for a journey more captivating than a grand feast with a surprise magician. We're diving into the deep and mysterious world of ancient scrolls, hidden truths, and slightly questionable culinary choices in 630 CE. Yes, that's right. Just imagine the aroma of freshly baked bread mingling with the unmistakable smell of goat, while the air is alive with whispers of prophecy and rumors, much like your family dinners during the holiday season. Now, before we plunge headfirst into history, let me encourage you, if you find yourself enjoying our little narrative voyage tonight, consider giving us a thumbs up, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and maybe even subscribing, though only if our tales tickle your fancy, of course. Picture yourself in a cozy nook of a stone-walled synagogue, the rhythmic sound of a wooden door creaking open behind you. You're not alone in this charm-filled place. The light flickers seductively from oil lamps, swinging like they've just spotted a particularly interesting cat, creating shadows that dance along the ancient walls as if they're performing their own version of So You Think You Can Dance. Tonight, we find ourselves seated beside Tamim Ad-Dari, a man whose curiosity could make a toddler with a shiny new toy look positively mundane. Here's a fellow on a mission, hoping to untangle the intricacies of the shifting winds of prophecy circulating through Ash Sham, laden with the scrolls of the Torah and Injil. Yes, the very scrolls rich with the wisdom of the ancients. You can imagine him thinking, if only I could tweet about this very moment. Hashtags would fly like camels in a race. Tamim locks eyes with an elderly, learned Jewish rabbi, whose beard seems to harbor secrets of its own. In the hushed quiet, you can almost hear the stream of knowledge flowing from one generation to another, a current stronger than the gossip circling around that baker who forgot to season his famous bread. Rabbi, Tamim breathes, leaning in closely as if the walls themselves are eavesdropping. What can you tell me about the Dajjal? The word is like the latest fashion trends. Everyone's talking about it. But what does it really mean? The rabbi, with a glint of intrigue in his wise eyes, strokes his beard thoughtfully. Ah, Tamim, he begins, his voice smooth like the finest silk. The Dajjal, the deceiver, is often spoken of in prophecies as a harbinger of great tumult. Some say he will come with claims of divinity, like a character from a rather dramatic play, full of promises he cannot keep. Tamim nods earnestly, as if trying to grasp every syllable like one trying to catch sand slipping through their fingers. But is there a time frame? When should I be on the lookout? Should I be preparing an emergency kit? Perhaps a few dates and a solid pair of sandals? The rabbi chuckles, breaking the serious atmosphere with warmth. Ah, my dear Tamim, stockpiling dates might become part of your routine, but true preparation comes from within. Recognizing truth, standing firm, and embracing knowledge. And so, the discussion dances under the flickering lamps, weaving through tales as thick as the parchment scrolls on the table. They touch on historical figures, prophetic signs, and the nuances of faith with an intimacy that feels almost sacred. You lean closer, sensing the layers of wisdom unfolding like a beautifully written scroll, revealing ages-old secrets, as the rabbi sketches out scenes from divine revelations, embroidering each thought with humor and depth. You see, Tamim, the rabbi continues, the world will witness unprecedented trials. People will be faced with choices as bewildering as deciding between two equally enticing desserts, both rich in flavor but significantly differing in consequences. Will they choose wisdom or folly? Tamim can't help but chuckle, his reverence momentarily pierced by a relatable image of a hefty slice of baklava versus a simple yet comforting fig. But how do I prepare my heart for such monumental shifts? What if I stumble in my journey? With a smirk, the rabbi replies, "Oh, my inquisitive friend, if every stumble were a reason for despair, then there would be no joy in walking. Life is a dance of balance. One moment graceful, the next a delightful misstep. And that's where the beauty lies." Tamim feels a lightness in his heart. Imagine floating in a pool of knowledge, unveiling secrets as if they were wrapped gifts waiting to be unwrapped, not unlike receiving a surprise package in the mail. He contemplates the rabbi's words, pondering the echoes reverberating through the ages. What if every wise phrase was a key to understanding the divine tapestry at play? The conversation flows seamlessly, slipping between humor and profound questions, drawing upon the shadows and light cast by the oil lamps, much like our own lives, where wisdom often slithers in unexpected ways. So, dear listener, as we sit beside Tamim and his learned companion, let's embrace the echoes of history. Imagine the wisdom swirling around this stone sanctuary, an invitation to explore the realms of faith and understanding, all while keeping a smile on our faces. Trust in this journey, for as we drift deeper into Tamim's tale, let us together unravel the mysteries ahead, weaving laughter and lessons through the fabric of our dreams, just as those oil lamps dance in joyous anticipation of the knowledge still to come. May your slumber be graced with visions of ancient wisdom as you meander through the corridors of thought, paving your own path toward truth. A journey that, at times, may feel delightfully absurd, but is ultimately profoundly meaningful. Good night, and may your dreams carry you through the treasures of divine inquiry. Chapter 6. A Humble Encounter in Faith. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight we journey to a year when sandals were more common than sneakers, and conversations about faith were sprouting like wildflowers after a gentle rain. Picture this. It's 630 CE, and you find yourself in a monastery that smells of old parchment, beeswax, and a hint of burnt incense. Because who doesn't love a refreshing atmosphere tinged with the occasional whiff of misplaced fire? As you settle down, let me set the scene for you. Have you ever been so deep in thought that you accidentally sipped your tea as if it were soup? Or has there been a time when you realized you were nodding off during a serious discussion? Maybe like that time Uncle Sam went into a diatribe about the family reunion. Well, you're in good company. Tonight unfolds an epic tale featuring our curious friend Tamim Ad-Dari as he encounters a most intriguing character, a weary, albeit wise Christian priest in a humble monastery. It's almost like the world's first awkward speed dating session, but with deeper theological questions and less candlelight. So take a moment to dim the lights, turn on a fan, or a space heater if you're a hardy soul,
and snuggle under your blanket. You're about to be whisked away on a roller coaster of ideas, with humor sprinkled liberally throughout, as we dive into a time when the quest for truth echoed like the jingle of a lost set of keys in a quiet home. Now, have you ever wondered just how many times someone had to adjust their robes before stepping into an important meeting? Or why their choice of bread was more crucial than any diplomatic discussion? As we glide through this narrative, remember, every decision counts, much like the tragedy of breaking a date while attempting to explain complex relationships, only to end up with a slice of cake instead. Congratulations! You've just awoken in 630 CE, a year when confusion over prophecies neared epic proportions, and people were beginning to wonder if divine messengers were on vacation. While navigating this vibrant mosaic of cultures, let's eavesdrop as Tamim meets one of the relics of this time, a priest. As the monastery looms closer, Tamim's heart beats with curiosity, tinged with a slight apprehension, like the moment just before a cold shower hits your back. Upon reaching the monastery, he hardly notices the rustic wooden door creak open. All his focus is on the warm, comforting glow emanating from within. The priest, with a beard that seems to have tangled with old prayers and dreams, gestures to Tamim with a heavy sigh that seems to carry the weight of 1,000 inquiries. "Welcome, young seeker," the priest says, his voice gravelly yet soft, echoing through the air like a warm embrace. "What brings you to this dreary abode of wisdom, nestled between mountains and parchment?" With a flicker of zeal, Tamim replies, "I've heard whispers of a mysterious figure, the Dajjal. Some say he's a mere rumor, while others view him as a dire omen." He pauses, visualizing the horror of a creature resembling a half-baked loaf of bread that would rise at any moment in the realm of faith. The priest chuckles softly, shaking his head like a man remembering a forgotten joke. "Ah, the Dajjal, the most controversial slice of prophecy. In my circles, we discuss him as if theorizing about the flavor of the month. Some think of him as a divine prankster, while others grant him terrifying powers of deceit. It's quite perplexing." The conversation ebbs and flows, much like the motley patterns woven through the priest's ancient robes. With a deep frown and thoughtful nod, the priest gestures to a modest table laden with a suspiciously large loaf of bread. "You see, Tamim, just as bread rises in the oven, so do our fears expand in the darkness of uncertainty." Tamim, ever the eager listener, leans in. "But dear priest, what do you propose we do when the flames of deception and doubt flicker dangerously close? Should we stock up on supplies, dates, or perhaps even a mesmerizing loaf of this bread?" "Oh, my delightful friend," the priest retorted, "if only sustenance was our only concern. It's more about recognizing truth sprouting amidst the chaos, much like joyous blossoms among thorny weeds." With each word from the priest's lips, Tamim can't help but picture a biblical garden where plush fruits dangle from miraculous branches while diabolical thorns loom nearby, ready to ruin the picnic. But how shall we know when the Dajjal comes? A giant mirage with wild hair, or an illusion cloaked in charm? Discerning truth requires not just knowledge, my friend, but also a heart attuned to divine signals, as astute as your senses when attempting to dodge a house cat en route to the kitchen at midnight, the priest explains, raising a finger as if revealing an ancient secret. Tamim chuckles, imaging the consequences of undetected feline wisdom. But more importantly, he ponders the weight of the priest's teachings. "How soul-wrenching it is," Tamim muses, "to constantly seek truth, to strive for enlightenment while battling shadows of doubt. Just like spending an afternoon deciphering old scrolls, or trusting a palm reader who claims to know the secrets of your children's futures." The priest's laughter fills the modest room, and for a moment, it's as though the barriers between their faiths dissolve like sugar in warm tea. "Isn't it funny? Here we are, two seekers of truth from separate paths, yet united in our confusion over a future we can't predict. Sometimes it feels like playing a game of chess against an impractical opponent, doesn't it? Tamim agrees, a smile breaking through his earnest demeanor. The connection he feels in this small space, surrounded by centuries of wisdom, reassures him. Perhaps they are indeed on the same road, searching for
that elusive prophecy that promises unity in diversity, a divine wink shared across faiths. As the evening unfolds and stories intertwine, rich with humor and spiritual depth, the priest imparts final thoughts that resonate. Remember, dear Tamim, life can be as complex as a well-known genealogy scroll. You can get hilariously lost. Yet it is within this very chaos that faith finds its grounding. We may disagree on who the next prophet might be, but perhaps it's our shared humanity that matters most, the priest concludes, eyes twinkling with unvoiced admiration. So, as their laughter dances among the ancient walls, the evening sinks into a soothing stillness, softly cradling all those brave enough to seek answers in a world rife with contradictions. It serves as a gentle reminder that sometimes, even gods and priests need a moment to share a chuckle, realizing they are all part of the greater cosmic joke. As we drift through the remnants of this delightful encounter, let us lighten our hearts and envision a world where curiosity leads us on winding paths of knowledge, overcoming uncertainty, just like Tamim continues on his journey. In the enchanting realm of faith and laughter, where shadows flicker and truths collide, may we always find companionship in our quest for understanding. Good night, dear listeners, and may your dreams be as sweet as fresh honey drizzled over warm bread, guiding you through the mysteries still waiting to be unveiled. Chapter 7. The Shadowed Valley of Rituals. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight we begin in a valley darker than your favorite pair of pants after a week in the laundry. Picture this. It's 630 CE, in a land mingling with echoes of ancient traditions and burgeoning faith. Here, the air is heavy, not just with the sense of wild herbs swaying under the moonlight, but also with the weight of countless rituals attempting to connect the unseen with everyday life. I mean, who wouldn't want to summon divine intervention over a cold cup of tea? As you nestle into your blanket fortress, let me set the mood for our journey. Have you ever found yourself caught between two conversations, wondering if you should nod, smile, or just slowly back away like a door-to-door salesperson trying to sell you insurance? In this intriguing time and place, our dear friend Tamim Ad-Dari stumbles upon something even more perplexing. A gathering of men lost in their prayers and offerings, muttering incantations to beholden beings that might dismiss them with an eye roll or two. Now that's a party. What did they even hope to achieve? Was there a hidden sale on celestial favors? Perhaps they wished to summon good fortune for their next camel race. And how many of these men couldn't find their way out of a labyrinth if their lives depended on it? It's a wonder how, with all that immersion in rituals, they never forgot their umbrellas, praying for rain yet standing amidst a drought. While we ponder these life questions, let's drift into the soft, velvety shadows of this shadowy valley. Picture the flickering flames from their makeshift altar, casting silhouettes resembling abstract art, an unintentional exhibition of confused creativity. Can you hear the soft murmur of prayers, like whispered secrets exchanged between close friends? You wince at the overly earnest sincerity in their chants, slightly reminiscent of a karaoke night gone wrong. As night envelops the landscape, the moon hangs low, almost as if it too wishes to eavesdrop on the impassioned murmurs swarming like errant mosquitoes. You can taste the tension in the air. It dances between the desire for connection and the enchantment of the unknown. Familiar yet foreign, this valley exudes a striking charm, sort of like your great-aunt's floral couch. Intriguing, yet you're still unsure if you should sit down. You are transported through the sense of incense, mixing with the musty aroma of old stones and dusty relics,
where the men's voices overlap and rise like the tide, weaving chants that resonate with centuries-old traditions. Amidst it all, can you catch the subtle hints of something more curious? A joke, perhaps? One priest grumbles about a particular goat never giving enough milk to earn its keep. Was that on the checklist of divine favor? Better livestock? Amidst the ritualistic fervor, imagine Tamim lurking on the fringes of this scene like a cat contemplating the chaos of a toddler's birthday party. He's both fascinated and a little hesitant, kind of like deciding between a second helping of dessert and resisting the caloric consequences. Here he stands, quietly observing, as if on a secret mission, feeling the pull between the past and the future hanging in the thick air of this valley. Such a contrast. As these men invoke the unseen, remember that the weight of their prayers reaches into the shadows of uncertainty and superstition, like fishing in waters thrice visited but never yielding a prize. They want assurance from spiritual guardians, yet little do they realize that the journey toward understanding lays just beyond the veil. Their spirited offering seems melodramatic, a theater of devotion being performed for spectators long lost to the folds of history. Now picture an old man, his beard long and wispy, swaying gently as if carried by the rhythm of incantation. Is it wind or perhaps divine inspiration? Who knows? But there he stands, a living testament buried in faith, weaving tales as if casting nets into the deep waters of cosmic truths, hoping something substantial bites. Can you imagine his inner thoughts? This future generation, they'll thank me for breaking down the cosmic shrouds. And then the reality hits him. But first, I should find a sip of water. As night slips deeper into its embrace, the murky ambience blurs the line between the tangible and the ethereal, where faith feels like floating several feet above the ground without any prior skydiving experience. Yet there's humor hidden among the beliefs that line the valley. The charm of the absurd packs a punch, opening doors into realms of curiosity and playful doubt. You chuckle softly to yourself, realizing how these shadowy prayers might easily be transformed into the perfect comedy skit in today's world. You feel a tug at your insides, a drawing nearer to Tamim's own journey. For could a man entrenched in tradition realize that the shadows he studies might hide a truth more profound than mere allegory? As our journey unfolds, watch as Tamim's path lines up with the unfolding ripples of both the divine and the absurd, interlocking with his quest for understanding in a rich tapestry of spiritual discovery. Thus, while the men call to divinity, steering shadows deeper into rituals, Tamim's light-hearted curiosity flickers dimly, an essence that could unintentionally guide him toward a meeting fated to illuminate the unexpected and uncover secrets locked away in the widening crevices between faith and fate. So as we close this chapter in our dreams, remember, like those lost souls of the valley, sometimes we need a good chuckle to pierce through the heaviness, unleashing the wisdom beneath. And now, dear friends, as you drift into the realm of sleep, may your dreams romp freely, like a goat in a field of blooming wildflowers, unconfined yet filled with purpose, a journey ever interrupted but eternally humorous. Good night.
Chapter 8. The Wondrous Glow of the Righteous Jinn.
Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight, we step into a scene so fragrant and mystical, it might just put that overpriced fancy candle you bought in the corner to shame. Picture this: a shimmering night in 630 CE, the air electric with tension. Not from social media notifications, but from a buzz far more extraordinary. Amidst the towering palm trees and the soothing sounds of the Medina night, our friend Tamim Ad-Dari has stumbled into a gathering that smells of incense, desperation, and just a hint of something that makes you wonder if the goats were sacrificed too soon. It's a motley crew of folks engaged in fervent pagan rituals, probably hoping for that extra boost for their next date, or perhaps a more abundant milk yield from their favorite uttered friend. As you cozy up in your blanket, let's ponder this for a moment. Do you think they had a ritual playlist going? Or was the selection of tunes limited to the sound of wind rustling leaves? Were they secretly hoping to impress their ancestors with the latest catchphrases of the day? Or perhaps one guy was over there providing unsolicited life advice that nobody asked for, because doesn't that sound familiar? Now imagine you've just opened a portal, and suddenly there's a dip in the air, almost like stepping into a walk-in freezer filled with existential dread. You feel a shimmering presence rising before the crowd, a righteous jinn, appearing in a dazzling silhouette that would make even the most decorated ceiling at a five-star hotel look passé. This ethereal being, all lit up like a cosmic disco ball, strides forward, grains of stardust trailing in its wake. "People of the valley," it commands, its voice resonating like a well-rehearsed public speaker. "Abandon your false idols, seek refuge only in Allah, and heed the message of the new messenger." Now, I bet you didn't see that coming. A jinn, glowing brighter than a trendy lamplight, announces a spiritual revolution. You might just be muttering to yourself, "Great, now I'm going to wake up and hear this all over the news." But here's the kicker. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill glowing creature throwing a tantrum over misplaced faith. No, this is divine intervention at its finest. Like when you realize you've been blessing your morning coffee with more sugar than necessary and suddenly go for that bold black brew instead. As the words hang in the air, the gathering turns from whispers to confused murmurs. Men are now glancing at each other, their brow furrowed like they've just found out that their favorite soap opera is about to be canceled. "Are we really doing this?" You can almost hear them thinking. "Shouldn't we at least wait for the goat to finish its dance first?" Tamim, feeling both bewildered and slightly amused, remains at the edge of this fabulous spectacle. It's like watching a live-action play gone slightly
Astray. You can already tell this is going to end in unexpected revelations, and maybe, just maybe, a moral lesson washed in humor and humility. The glowing jinn continues, its silhouette pulsing with energy. This is not the time to cling to old beliefs like a child with its favorite toy. You have heard of a new messenger who will guide you to the truth, a truth more potent than the most potent of spring waters. At that surreal moment, take a breath, my friend. Feel the rippling excitement that courses through you. This is a pivotal shift, almost like realizing that the Wi-Fi password you've been using all along was faulty. And here unfolded a vast realm just waiting for you to plug into. Can you almost taste it? The potential for transformation is thicker than a fondue pot at a family gathering. Now, in this vivid, splendid haze, gather your thoughts. What would you shout if you saw a glowing jinn asking the crowd to ditch their old beliefs? "What about my great-granddad's idol collection?" Or, "I was just getting into that dance with the goats." The jinn glances back toward Tamim, sensing a flicker of curiosity mixed with skepticism. "Fear not, dear Tamim. This is not the end, but merely a beginning. You shall witness things beyond your imagination, lessons that will guide you through the labyrinth of life. Trust me, it's not a jinn's job to scare. That's just good old horror movie culture." Laughter ripples through the men as they glance at each other. Maybe it's the jinn's lightheartedness that breaks the tension, or perhaps it's just the absurdity of their situation. In that moment, a wave of realization washes over Tamim like a cool breeze on a scorching day. He feels an urge to step forward. Ingrained in his spirit is the understanding that sometimes change comes with humor, a reminder that losing the old doesn't mean losing yourself. Instead, it's an opportunity to embrace the divine light that beckons you toward a richer journey. So, as you sink deeper into your blanket like a burrito rolling into slumber, consider the irony lazing around tonight. A glowing jinn,
inviting humans toward a righteous path, might just be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. What a wild spiritual ride it's about to be. As we pause at this unexpected juncture, envision the warmth of this incredible tale wrapping around you like a cozy embrace, ushering you gently toward tomorrow's revelations. The journey continues, revealing wonders you would never guess, but they will tickle your spirit in ways perhaps the jinn themselves have forgotten. With humor, grace, and that good old eternal question, what happens next? Now, drift, dear friends, and let those delightful thoughts swirl, leaving room for more sparkling encounters on the horizon. Is it a jinn's call that will echo through your dreams tonight? Only time, gloriously wrapped in a blanket of reverie, will tell. Sleep snugly.
Chapter 9. The Journey to Medina's Embrace.
Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight we embark on a journey that's hotter than your auntie's hot chai, but just as soothing as the gentle breeze that dances between the palm trees of Medina. Imagine, if you will, the scene unfolding in 630 CE, where the sand is hotter than a fresh loaf of bread and the call to prayer mingles with the laughter of children. Trust me, it's a sight worth squinting your eyes for, much like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Now, before we lose ourselves in the past, let's take a moment. Have you ever wondered if ancient travelers had the same awkward moments we do? Like when you're on a long road trip and someone in the back seat decides to help with directions, but somehow you end up taking the scenic route, which is just another way of saying lost? Or imagine trying to make small talk while riding a camel. Nice weather we're having, huh? As your legs bounce against the uneven terrain. I mean, what can you say to a camel? Hey buddy, nice haircut. Tonight, we find ourselves waking up in the middle of the hustle and bustle of the year 630 CE, the time of the Prophet's final years and that oh-so-important year of delegations. Can you hear it? Yes, the sounds of hooves on the dusty ground, the occasional bleat of sheep, and the rustling of palm fronds that look suspiciously like they could be part of an impromptu picnic. So, cozy up in your blankets as we dive deeper into our story. Our brave hero, Tamim Ad-Dari, embarks on a journey filled with hope and purpose. He leads a small but determined delegation of 10 men, each riding on camels that sway like old folks at a wedding dance competition. Have you ever tried to ride a camel? It's less of a graceful ballet and more like being tossed around in a sack of potatoes. Picture Tamim, sweat glistening, trying to look dignified while holding on for dear life, a smile plastered on his face that says, "I totally have this under control." As the sun starts to set, casting an amber hue over the world, you can sense the excitement brewing in the air, like the faint aroma of fresh bread wafting from a bakery. The men chat, hands gesturing widely, debating the nuances of who has the best camel. Because, let's face it, camels are like the cars of the ancient world. "Did you see Ahmad's camel?" one man quips. "It's as stubborn as a mule with a hangover." They chuckle, the tension from the long journey beginning to lift. After what feels like an eternity of swaying and bumpy adventures, they finally approach the tranquil city of Medina, where the palm trees stand tall, almost like they are guardians of whispers from the divine. Can you see the peaceful streets filled with laughter and joy? The locals share dates and stories, their smiles as inviting as the sweet fruits they offer. Just imagine, as you walk into Medina, the aroma of spices fills the atmosphere. A hint of cardamom and saffron mingles with the warm breezes. And the sound? Oh, the sound of kids playing and parents calling out to them is a symphony to the ears. You can almost hear a mother shouting, "Don't run too far. Remember what happened last time? You ended up in the neighbor's garden eating stolen pomegranates." Upon entering the city, Tamim feels a sense of tranquility washing over him, like the refreshing splash of water on a hot day. He knows he is not just about to meet the Prophet.
He is about to witness something monumental that would change the course of history. His heart beats a little faster, a mix of anxiety and excitement, much like it does before attending a family wedding where everyone has an opinion about your next career move. Finally, the moment arrives as they find themselves standing before the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the man whose very name echoes through the hearts of millions. Tamim's mind races, but he remembers the wisdom in adhering to one's purpose. Stay cool, stay calm, he thinks, even though the urge to fan his face with a makeshift palm frond is almost irresistible. The Prophet greets them with warmth that radiates brighter than the Medina sun, welcoming them into his fold. In a way, it's as if they've crossed a threshold from ordinary life into a realm of profound enlightenment and wisdom. Suddenly, Tamim realizes something. It's not just about completing a mission, it's about embracing the legacy that awaits within the heart of this burgeoning community. The men sit, and as they listen to the Prophet speak about the truths that will guide them onward, they are enveloped not just in the words he shares, but in the tangible sense of guidance and purpose that resonates from his being. Each word is rich with meaning, much like perfectly brewed tea, connecting them all uniquely, as if a giant invisible string binds their hearts together, woven by God's grace. As you drift deeper into slumber, envision this vibrant tableau of Medina, the laughter, the wise words of the Prophet flowing like a river of knowledge, washing over those who seek truth. Picture it all, a bustling community coming together, marked by faith, unity, and purpose. Isn't it fascinating to think how such a simple journey can lead us to grand, epic tales of inspiration? And so, dear friends, as you tuck in for the night, think of Tamim Ad-Dari's unwavering spirit and his determination to seek out a truth that would echo through the ages. May his story guide you in your dreams as the soothing winds of Medina usher in a restful sleep. Good night, and may your dreams be as inspiring as Tamim's journey. Chapter 10. The Tale of Tamim Ad-Dari and the Divine Encounter. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight, we dive into a tale that's as perplexing as finding your keys in the fridge. Picture this. It's the year 630 CE, the bustling and vibrant heart of Medina, where the air is thick with the scent of freshly baked bread and the promise of divine encounters, like a surprise party, but with more camels and far less awkward small talk. How do you feel about meeting legendary figures? Do you ever think of what it's like to sit in a dimly lit room, listening to tales that could change the very fabric of reality? Or are you the person whose first question is, "Can I bring snacks?" Because, let's face it, who doesn't need a date or two, maybe a handful of almonds, while listening to epic stories getting shared in the mosque? So, dear friends, dim those lights, turn on that gentle fans of yours, and let's transport ourselves from the chaos of the 21st century to ancient Medina, where our journey begins. You've just woken up in the early hours of the morning, birds chirping as if announcing the dawn of an amazing adventure. The sun is shining, and you might feel a little stir-crazy because you forgot where you placed your sandals, and, oh wait, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is in town. Would your sandals even fit into this narrative? What if they're the ones cracked and battered like an old soda can? Or would they be shiny and new, your personal style statement for this grand occasion? Or, better yet, what if you discover that wearing sandals is completely out of style, and everyone else is flaunting delightful tunics that float in the wind like leftover kite paper? As your mind wheels through these thoughts, it's time to focus. You see, the Prophet's mosque in Medina stands before you, a hub of hope and enlightenment, and it is here that Tamim Ad-Dari is about to unveil his monumental encounter. Ah, Tamim, a man whose name may not ring a bell in today's karaoke nights, yet whose story is about to travel centuries and inspire millions. With the hustle and bustle around, imagine entering the mosque. The walls are adorned with humility and illumination, echoing the presence of divine wisdom. It's bustling but serene, A bit busy, like waiting for your order at your favorite coffee shop, but with fewer tablets and more prayers. As Tamim strides through the doorway, you can almost hear a muffled whoosh as the companions turn to him, their faces painted with expectation. They are eager to hear about his extraordinary journey filled with hidden truths. As the sun casts warm hues across the mosque floor, Tamim stands up to speak, clearing his throat like someone who's just realized they've mistakenly stepped into the wrong dance circle. But, much to your excitement, he launches into a tale more colorful than a rainbow-colored Eid celebration. "Gather around, dear companions," he begins, his voice powerful yet soothing as honey drizzled on warm, fluffy pancakes. You can practically sense their anticipation, their eyes shining like stars on a clear Medina night. He vividly recounts how he stumbled upon a mysterious island during one of his travels, a place that could rival the most surreal of dreams. A mysterious being emerged, he shares, a creature unlike anything I had seen before, claiming to be the Dajjal. Gasps fill the room, a mix of disbelief and eagerness to dig deeper into the enigma that Tamim has unearthed. He spoke of extraordinary revelations, of trials and tribulations that would turn the world on its head, like a camel trying to dance at a wedding without its owner. In that moment, the companions are mesmerized. You can sense the room trembling with excitement. One might even wonder what perfume was in the air. Perhaps a splash of musk? But no, it's just the fragrance of intrigue mixed with a sprinkle of disbelief and sweet curiosity, brewing like tea on a Sunday afternoon. With each word, Tamim reveals incredible details about the island. "I saw people who had been waiting for the final signs, unaware of the extraordinary truths they were standing upon," he proclaims. It's as if the atmosphere is charged with electric vibes, like when your phone's on low battery, but miraculously charges just at the right moment to send that crucial text. The companions nod along, and you can almost hear their silent exchanges. "Did you hear about the Dajjal?" one companion whispers, eyebrows raised like sails catching a sudden gust of wind. "And did you see how he claims to round the earth?" another interjects, scratching his chin thoughtfully. The room is alive, bouncing with ideas and connections, as if everyone has read the same captivating novel and is now longing for the next installment. Every twist in Tamim's narrative dances through the air, filling hearts with hope, fear, and intrigue. It's not just a story, it's a portal into the future. As companions lean in closer, eyes glued to Tamim, you can't help but smile at how this simple tale weaves its threads. A reminder that stories have the power to uplift souls and change families. Imagine that camaraderie right now, the laughter shared, the curiosity nurtured, and that palpable unity among the companions, bound by shared faith and community. It's the kind of connection that sparks joy like a kebab sizzling over an open flame. And so, as you drift into a peaceful sleep, may the echoes of Tamim Ad-Dari's epic tale wrap around you like the cozy warmth of a beloved shawl, guiding you into dreams filled with wonder, compassion, and divine encounters. Remember this: every story told holds the key to a truth waiting to be unveiled. Good night, dear friends, and may your dreams be as illuminating as the moon guiding Tamim's footsteps through the desert sands. Chapter 11. The Voyage of Tamim Ad-Dari. Salam alaikum, dear friends. As we continue our journey through the tapestry of time, get ready to embark on a nautical adventure that's almost as unpredictable as your last trip to the grocery store, where you end up with 3 bags of lettuce and no salad dressing. Yes, tonight we dive into the deep, mysterious waters of the year 630 CE, when our friend Tamim Ad-Dari found himself aboard a small, ancient ship. Let's call it an IKEA model that has seen better days. You have to wonder, what was life like for a man who's about to discover legendary truths? Did Tamim pack a week's supply of dried figs? Or was he on a diet, perhaps vowing to only eat the ship's banquet of briny sea air? We've all debated how many snacks are acceptable for a trip. Was it one bag of dates, or should he have brought a whole date tree with him? These are decisions even the wisest among us struggle to pin down. Now picture yourself as Tamim, the winds whipping playfully at your face as you sail across the immense blue expanse of the sea. You wake to the sound of gently lapping waves against the ship's hull, a sound soothing enough to convince you that the universe has decided to serenade you gently into the morning. All around you is silence, punctuated only by the distant calls of seabirds, who are possibly having their own debates over who gets the best fish. Your ship rolls slightly underfoot. Nothing alarming, just enough to remind you that you are at the mercy of nature, like a cat balancing on a narrow fence. The salty air fills your lungs, and you closely examine your fellow sailors. Some are fussing over provisions, while others appear to be engrossed in a lively debate about whether the fish caught yesterday was actually seasoned well or just provided by generous ocean spirits. As the sun rises higher, painting the sky with shades of orange and gold, you find yourself reclining against the side of the ship, allowing your thoughts to meander away like the fabled legends told around campfires. Why don't they make sea travel more comfortable, you ponder, imagining chairs with plush cushions and perhaps even a dolphin-shaped flotation device? Wouldn't that be something? But the winds are not all sunshine and rainbows. They can turn fierce without notice. Suddenly, you're jolted from your introspection as the ship lurches under a powerful gust, your snack plans momentarily suspended. You hold on tighter than a kid clutching his parent's leg during a fireworks display, heart racing like it's caught on a runaway chariot. Meanwhile, your mates take the challenges in stride, laughing off the unpredictable nature of the sea like seasoned seafarers, hinting at stories of whirlpools and giant fish that have eluded capture throughout their exploits. In moments like this, you realize that a good story is the best companion one can ever hope for, much like a trusty pair of sandals, still intact and kicking against the odds. The ship sways underfoot, and it's almost too easy to slip into a cozy daydream thinking about when you hit land. Will you immediately chase after the best date palm grove? Or will you grab the biggest fish as an offering for the local community, hoping they're just as impressed as you are? Life aboard the ship also prompts you to engage in something surprisingly spirited. Let me tell you about my last successful fishing trip, one sailor begins, and soon others chime in, launching into a cacophony of exaggerated fish tales. Each one is more absurd than the last, and before you know it, you find yourself recalling last week's grocery story adventure, with the persistent urge to compare a rival fish encounter to the time you almost lost your sandals in the produce aisle. The sea breeze tousles your hair, acting like an enthusiastic soup chef eager to show off their latest creation. For a moment, you contemplate what life would be like if you had a pet parrot on board, squawking quirky mantras like, "Ahoy there, shipmates!" Perhaps you'd be sailing to every port with your feathered friend who never runs out of colorful tales, except when he runs out of sunflower seeds. But let's arc back to your purpose. As the waves continue their gentle waltz, you remember why you are here: to unveil mythical truths that could change everything. It's as if the sea itself is whispering secrets into your ear, inviting you into a narrative deeper than the ocean itself. As the horizon begins to shift into shades of violet and pink, you realize you're no longer just a passenger on this vessel. You're a part of something grand, something destined. Each wave carries you closer to tomorrow's revelation, like a friendly nudge from destiny itself. And just like that, as you take a deep breath, inhaling the salty air and filling your heart with purpose, you can almost hear the echoes of fabled adventures awaiting your discovery. Who knows? One moment you may be battling waves, and in the next you could be conversing with creatures and characters that would make even the grandest tales feel modest in comparison. So, as you draw closer to the horizon, a sense of anticipation teems within you, a potent mixture of excitement and uncertainty, mingling together like a favorite childhood memory. And with that powerful feeling coursing through you, you prepare for landing, for the unknown island that promises extraordinary encounters. Allow yourself to drift softly into sleep now, dear friend, cradled by the waves of this ancient sea, knowing that tomorrow a divine meeting awaits you beyond the waters where legends were born. May your dreams take you far beyond lands of myth and marvel, prepared to unveil the truths that only a brave heart like Tamim's could confront. Good night, and may the spirit of adventure guide your dreams. Chapter 8. The Wondrous Glow of the Righteous Jinn. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight, we step into a scene so fragrant and mystical, it might just put that overpriced fancy candle you bought in the corner to shame. Picture this: a shimmering night in 630 CE, the air electric with tension. Not from social media notifications, but from a buzz far more extraordinary. Amidst the towering palm trees and the soothing sounds of the Medina night, our friend Tamim Ad-Dari has stumbled into a gathering that smells of incense, desperation, and just a hint of something that makes you wonder if the goats were sacrificed too soon. It's a motley crew of folks engaged in fervent pagan rituals, probably hoping for that extra boost for their next date, or perhaps a more abundant milk yield from their favorite uttered friend. As you cozy up in your blanket, let's ponder this for a moment. Do you think they had a ritual playlist going? Or was the selection of tunes limited to the sound of wind rustling leaves? Were they secretly hoping to impress their ancestors with the latest catchphrases of the day? Or perhaps one guy was over there providing unsolicited life advice that nobody asked for, because doesn't that sound familiar? Now imagine you've just opened a portal, and suddenly there's a dip in the air, almost like stepping into a walk-in freezer filled with existential dread. You feel a shimmering presence rising before the crowd, a righteous jinn, appearing in a dazzling silhouette that would make even the most decorated ceiling at a five-star hotel look passé. This ethereal being, all lit up like a cosmic disco ball, strides forward, grains of stardust trailing in its wake. "People of the valley," it commands, its voice resonating like a well-rehearsed public speaker. "Abandon your false idols, seek refuge only in Allah, and heed the message of the new messenger." Now, I bet you didn't see that coming. A jinn, glowing brighter than a trendy lamplight, announces a spiritual revolution. You might just be muttering to yourself, "Great, now I'm going to wake up and hear this all over the news." But here's the kicker. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill glowing creature throwing a tantrum over misplaced faith. No, this is divine intervention at its finest, like when you realize you've been blessing your morning coffee with more sugar than necessary and suddenly go for that bold black brew instead. As the words hang in the air, the gathering turns from whispers to confused murmurs. Men are now glancing at each other, their brow furrowed like they've just found out that their favorite soap opera is about to be canceled. "Are we really doing this?" you can almost hear them thinking. "Shouldn't we at least wait for the goat to finish its dance first?" Tamim, feeling both bewildered and slightly amused, remains at the edge of this fabulous spectacle. It's like watching a live-action play gone slightly. Swirling clouds envelop the sky, casting ominous shadows that would make the most stoic person feel uneasy. The dread of that overcooked fish swap finds itself battling the fear of the unknown. Beneath your feet, the ship tilts with an alarming intensity, as if trying to shake off those extra pounds of unharvested dates. A wave crashes over the side, drenching you head to toe in water that smells as if a dozen unsupervised cats have taken a shower. So fresh and invigorating, if by fresh you mean nauseating. Now, you're gripping your snacks tightly, not because you're afraid of losing them, but because they seem to be the last bastion of comfort on this increasingly ludicrous roller coaster of a voyage. The sight of a fellow sailor somehow managing to juggle a bucket, a boat hook, and a prayer rug all at once prompts you to reconsider your very existence. Is this my life now? You wonder. Is ocean gymnastic multitasking part of my adventure? Am I destined for a life of sea shanties and soggy bread? Yet, amidst the chaos, there's an undeniable camaraderie forming. The crew's laughter slices through the howling wind, lighting moments of genuine connection that remind you of your wildest game nights. Ever played charades with a group of friends after 2 spicy curries? Yes, that kind of spirited hilarity, a reminder of life's abundant absurdities. As the days blend into a storm-ridden blur, time melts like a popsicle under the hot desert sun. Did we just pass day 30? Your barely there sleep cycle might as well be an amnesia-inducing whirlpool. Yet, you cling to the notion of camaraderie and that glimmer of purpose, knowing somewhere out there, divine truths await you. Amidst the violins of the storm and the circus of human antics, you can sense a stirring within your heart. It's as if the tempest itself is edging you toward a monumental revelation, each wave whispering secrets only ever dreamed about, a feeling akin to stumbling upon the last piece of baklava when you thought it was all gone. So, as your journey takes unexpected turns, may you find peace amidst the chaos. Stripped of the mundane and layered in the extraordinary, you prepare for the laughs, the challenges, and the divine encounters that await. Through storms and laughs, remember, you are not just weathering the seas. You're creating an epic tale that will soon echo through time. Now, sail softly into slumber, cradled by the rhythms of these ancient waters, knowing that every adventure, even the stormiest, is but a step on the road to unveiling truths that transcend the bounds of a wheeling ship. Good night, dear friend, and may your dreams be as grand as your journeys. Chapter 1. Standing at the Edge of Eternity. A solitary human figure stands at the edge of a high cliff, motionless and silent. Before them stretches an infinite, dark void, vast, unfathomable, and alive with meaning. It is not a darkness of fear, but of mystery, a darkness that represents the unseen realm, the world beyond what eyes can measure and hands can touch. The air is thick with anticipation. Nothing moves, yet everything feels poised, as though creation itself is holding its breath. The wind brushes softly past the figure, cool and steady, carrying the weight of questions humanity has asked since the beginning of time. What comes after this life? Where do we go when the soul departs the body? And will those we loved be waiting for us? In Islamic tradition, the afterlife is not a vague hope, nor an abstract dream. It is a certainty, a continuation, not an ending. Standing at the edge of the unseen, the figure feels this truth settle deeply within the heart. Life in this world was always meant to be temporary, a journey of trust, patience, and faith leading toward a greater reunion. The void below does not swallow light. It waits for it. It symbolizes the unseen realm known only to Allah, a reality far greater than human understanding. The Quran reminds us that no soul knows fully what has been prepared for it, yet believers are given glimpses through divine promise, gardens beneath which rivers flow, peace beyond sorrow, and reunions free from pain. The figure breathes slowly, reflecting on the loved ones left behind, parents, children, friends, companions of the heart. In this world, separation was inevitable. Death drew lines no human strength could erase. But faith teaches that these separations are not permanent. They are pauses, not conclusions. In the stillness, the heart remembers a powerful assurance that Allah, in His infinite mercy, is the one who reunites, that those who believed, who loved one another for His sake, will not be scattered endlessly in the hereafter. Instead, they will be gathered, recognized not by faces alone, but by souls that know one another beyond time. The darkness before the figure begins to feel different. It no longer feels empty. It feels vast with promise. The anticipation thickens, not with fear, but with longing. A longing purified of anxiety, free from the heaviness of worldly attachment. This is the longing of a soul standing on the edge of truth. The wind grows gentler, as if encouraging reflection. The figure understands now that the afterlife is not merely about reward or rest, but about fulfillment. Every tear shed in patience, every sacrifice made quietly, every love held sincerely, none of it is lost. In paradise, there is no grief to cloud reunion, no bitterness to taint joy, no unfinished words. Loved ones are not reunited in weakness, but in completion, their hearts cleansed, their souls elevated, their joy uninterrupted. The figure senses this promise, scent of unknown fruits, tantalizing your senses. The buttery aroma of fresh coconuts joins in, almost shouting, "Try me." Meanwhile, tiny crabs scuttle across the sand like they're competing in a race no one dared to start. And you wonder if they might have a larger mission. Perhaps they're laundering sand shoes in the great crab laundromat. As the group gathers its bearings, laughter mingles with the salty sea air, easing your minds and hearts after the storms that have tossed you about like salad in a particularly rambunctious bowl. "Are there any vegetarian options here?" you quip, glancing at a few bewildered fish flopping on the shore as if they're trying to relive their finest moments in the sun. Just kidding. The shared laughter erupts like a warm wave, wrapping around you like a comforting shawl. But what's next? You glance around, noticing vegetation that's more vibrant than your Aunt Fatima's hijab collection, each leaf a living tapestry. Behind you, your shipmates debate whether to follow the trail leading deeper into the island or to wait idly on the sand, perhaps planning to perfect the art of sandcastle building. "Let's move before the seagulls take everything," another companion suggests with a wink. If only building a sandcastle were as easy as deciding who gets the last piece of baklava back on the boat. Curiosity piqued, the group decides to venture inland. Perhaps the Dajjal is hiding behind the next tree. Perhaps there's treasure waiting to be discovered. You chuckle at the thought. Imagine unearthing a treasure chest filled with nothing but the last 10 years of your overdue library books. As you trek through this wild wonderland, you realize this remote island is steeped in stories, secrets waiting to be revealed like fresh bread from the oven. You and your merry crew, a collection of eccentrics like no other, find solace in each other's company, creating bonds stronger than the sails that have weathered storms of all kinds. Amidst the laughter, the anticipation of adventure, and the hint of mischief that floats in the air, you remember, dear friend, between the trials and tribulations, laughter and friendship are the treasures waiting to be uncovered. So as you settle deeper into this tranquil episode of life, may your dreams mingle with the magic of the unknown. Until we tread further into the depths of this tale, may you find peace under the starlit sky, laced with a sprinkle of humor and whispers of adventure. Good night, dear companions, until we meet again on this marvelous journey into the depths of the divine and delightful. Let me know if you'd like more chapters or specific adjustments.
Chapter 14. The Beast of the Beach. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight we delve deeper into the delightful chaos of 630 CE. Imagine yourself amidst the swaying palm trees, fragrant winds, and the foamy bubbles of the Mediterranean lapping against your feet. But hold on to your sandals, because just when you think it's all sunshine and tranquility, we're about to encounter something more terrifying than your mother-in-law's cookbook left open during dinner. Now picture this. As you sit on the sandy shore, being the embodiment of relaxation, like a cat sprawled out in the sun, your merry crew suddenly gasps collectively, like an audience at the most shocking part of a play. What is it, you wonder? Did someone finally discover the secret stash of baklava? Alas, no. Their eyes are trained on something far more unsettling. This horrifying sight is not from a monster movie, but an almost cartoonishly beastly apparition. A
a terrifying, shaggy, and incredibly hairy creature, as if it mistakenly stumbled out of a fashion show for yetis. The creature stands at the edge of the shoreline, its fur glistening with seawater, reminiscent of that last playdate you wish you could erase from memory. Discussing it in the context of a head-scratching riddle may be the only option. Is it the missing link, or just a particularly dirty dog? One companion muses, attempting to inject humor into a situation that absolutely calls for it. Its unsettling appearance, however, causes you all to recoil, more dramatically than if a rogue crab had attempted a surprise attack. The air is thick with tension. The creature's eyes, both fierce and curious, survey the group. "What do you think it wants?" whispers one sailor, his voice shaking like jelly on an earthquake. "For a moment, I thought it could be a new breed of fishing buddy," another quips, trying hard to shrug off the anxiety. Ever had a meeting that felt a bit more intimidating than your old boss? Well, this creature would make that boss seem like a puppy, adopting a playful demeanor. It stands there, shouldering the weight of an ancient ocean's mystery, as though it might speak, but decided that today was not the day to engage with humans. The fullness of noise springs back into action. Each wave crashing seems to echo the collective thought, "Cuddle it or run." Eventually, a bravely foolish companion shouts out, "Hey, are you a sea monster or just the island's caretaker?" The beast lets out a growl, part challenge, part confusion, like it was responding to a bad joke. It raises a paw as if waving you closer. You can't help but wonder, if it had thumbs, would it want a high five? Or perhaps discuss stock market investments? Your heart races. One moment you contemplate charging forward, thoughts racing. What if it's friendly? What if it's on a quest for companionship? I could use a buddy. Yet reason kicks back in like a cold wave. Your instinct whispers, "Let's just observe from a safe distance, shall we?" Just as panic spills over in your throat, the creature, seemingly unimpressed with your chaotic interpretation of events, lumbers toward the edge of the surf. It gives a casual shake of its shaggy coat, spraying seawater with such enthusiasm that it nearly covers one of your companions. If the island isn't plotting a villainous strategy, perhaps it is merely showing off its questionable grooming habits. As quiet settles again, you share a glance of collective realization that this monster could, in fact, be more of an elaborate prank, or even an unintended beach party host. With its massive stature covered in bristly hair, marinated in sea spray, it stands as a monument to the unforeseen adventures that life tenders. The laughter that breaks out amongst your crew feels like the sound of distant waves calming the storm within. So is anyone else thinking of asking it to join our campfire sing-along later? Or do we just assume it prefers to watch us from a distance? Your friends chuckle, grateful that humor and absurdity has managed to chase away the initial fear like morning dew under the blazing sun. With this bizarre twist of fate, you realize you are no longer just on a journey to escape the storms of the sea, but an expedition into the humorous realm of mystery. What if, you whisper, this creature is, in fact, the legendary guardian they speak of, a protector of the hidden treasures, or, dare I say it, a watcher of spirits? And so, as you lounge on the sand, pondering life's big questions like whether this hairy guardian would prefer couscous or rice with dinner, imagine the stories you would tell back home. You'd have tales of evading gales, befriending mythical beasts, and companions with slightly questionable senses of humor that would keep friends entertained for years. Every adventure is woven into the fabric of your journey, and irony and delight tangled amidst the challenges faced. As the sun begins its descent, you become aware of something altogether magical. The beach, the waves, and this comically intimidating creature somehow merge into a metaphor for life's unpredictability. Your fears and laughter harmonize in a rapture of discovery. Who could have imagined that the journey of a lifetime could be born from such whimsy? Indeed, dear friends, life often waits behind a curtain. The curtain of perhaps the silliest, hairy beast you could dream of. So, as you drift deeper into contemplation, allow the sounds of the waves and the soft whispers of adventure to caress your mind like a warm shawl, easing you into the soothing embrace of dreams. May the magical world of stories guide you into the realms of restful sleep, wrapped in the gentle hilarity of life's unpredictabilities. Sweet dreams. Chapter 15. The Shaggy Herald of Dajjal. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight we are entering a world more peculiar than Uncle Ahmed's cooking experiments at family gatherings. Yes, we're going back to 630 CE, a time when folks wore robes, but their fear of the unknown was as real as your neighbor's obsession with gardening. Picture this: the bustling town of Medina during the late prophetic era, a place where everyone is trying to outdo each other in hospitality. And then, boom, surprise! A creature that looks like it missed the memo about the "no furry thing allowed" dress code. Now, here's a fun question for you. What would you do if a beast lumbered toward you, all shaggy and intimidating? Would you run like a chicken caught in a rainstorm? Or would you bravely step forward, thinking, maybe it's just shy and wants to sing a duet? But let's be honest. Would you trust a creature that could only be described as a woolly mammoth crashing a tea party? As our merry band of explorers is standing on the sun-kissed shore, sweating profusely in the blazing desert sun, they spot this bizarre figure, a savage beast, affectionately dubbed Al-Jassasa, not because it sounds like a cool name for a rock band, but rather because this cryptic creature decided that lurking around to observe human antics would be a thrilling pastime. Suddenly, Al-Jassasa turns its shaggy body, letting out a sound that's part growl and part authoritative speech, like a frustrated teacher trying to rein in a bunch of rowdy kids on a field trip. "Follow me," it seems to say, its voice lodging itself somewhere between an ancient prophecy and an unsolicited sales pitch. The men, who had just moments earlier contemplated jumping headfirst into the inviting waters to escape their swirling thoughts, now find themselves locked in an awkward stare-off with this furry enigma. One brave soul, a curious fellow with a penchant for stories that dance beyond the edge of reason, shyly raises a hand and, in a whisper, calls out, "Are you selling insurance, or just our collective bedtime story?" The creature groans somberly in response, perhaps contemplating the state of affairs in the world of drives and commissions. Once it had adventures, and now it's just an insurance agent in the most ironic sense of the word. You may wonder, why are they not fleeing in the opposite direction? Well, my dear listener, where's the fun in that? Curiosity has always been the bait that lures us into the unknown, much like that last piece of baklava no one dares to touch, but you just know it's going to get devoured sooner or later. As the chill of the evening breeze brushes past, our brave souls inch closer to Al-Jassasa. Perhaps, just perhaps, they'll discover not only the depth of its character, but also unwittingly embark on an adventure that would become legendary. After all, no one said legends have to start neatly. They just have to begin with a bang. With its lumbering grace, the shaggy figure beckons, swishing its furry tail with what could be mistaken for excitement or ambiguous annoyance. "I swear this is not a prank, fellas," thinks one of your companions who, let's be honest, is definitely contemplating a career change post-interaction with this bizarre being. The sight before you is simultaneously magnificent and anxiety-inducing. Will you follow? Or will you retreat to safety, where the greatest threat might just be a mildly aggressive seagull? Such is the drama of your existence, precariously balanced between curiosity and instinct. Imagine stepping further into the shadows cast by the setting sun, bringing you all a bit closer to Al-Jassasa and its otherworldly vibe. "Hey, maybe it's just a misfit guide looking for dinner," one suggests, attempting a gallant grin that is every bit as faltering as his quaking knees. But you can't shake off the feeling that this encounter, like a mischievous riddle wrapped in a shaggy coat, carries with it cosmic significance. It's as if the universe opened a faded page from a forgotten storybook and said, "Congratulations, you've just woken up in 630 CE, the year when legends are born and snacks are questionable at best. Now, think about this. What if all those tales your grandparents told about the Dajjal, the monstrous figure said to lead many astray, were actually alluding to something more profound? What if Al-Jassasa is nothing but the furry herald of that legendary beast? And what if your dinner plans just got interrupted by a philosophical revelation of biblical proportions? Who would have guessed that adventures could come with a side of existential dread and a splash of salty ocean water? So, dear wayfarers, prepare for the absurd, the ridiculous, and the delightful as we plunge deeper into this epic tale of companionship, divine signs, and fur that seem to grow fonder by the minute. It's an adventure that promises to deliver everything from laughter under the stars to the kind of snuggly faith that warms the heart, sparking relationships with creatures that definitely should not be greeting at your front door. As the night settles, you feel the promise of the unknown beckoning like an enthusiastic friend at a dinner party, waiting to spill the secrets of the universe over a plate of mysteries that might or might not involve diminutive spiders named George. So, let's go forth into the wonder-filled night, the only place big enough for strange creatures, heroic hearts, and a million tales waiting to unfold.
Chapter 21. The Traveler's Trouble.
Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart like a cup of cozy herbal tea on a chilly winter's night. Soothing, aromatic, and guaranteed to make you feel as safe as a baby wrapped in a burrito blanket. Speaking of burritos, ever wonder how they might taste if they were made with ancient grains and baked under a warm, Middle Eastern sun? Tonight, we're diving into the tumultuous world of first-century Judea, a time when people were more concerned about sandals than social media, and the only swiping happening was of bread from the baker's stall. Imagine waking up to a land filled with dirt roads instead of glittery highways, where chariots zoomed past like disgruntled bees with their afternoon coffee. Before we embark on this narrative pilgrimage, I invite you to take a moment to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Only if it brings you joy, of course. Crunching on some unusually crunchy figs right now? Just be careful not to make a crummy mess. So, let's set the scene for this wild and dusty journey. As you prepare to drift into dreams, ask yourself, what's the deal with all those dusty sandals? Do they come with a warranty? How does one avoid stepping into what we would later identify as leavings on the road? And if you had to transport everything you owned on horseback, would you remember to pack a pillow or even a fig for snacking? Now, congratulations. You've just woken up on a dusty road in Judea, circa 2833 AD. The land where every decision feels weighty, the bread is heavier than your existential pilings of responsibilities, and whispers about the Messiah cling in the air like early morning mist. Imagine this. You're plodding along, sandals scraping against the coarse gravel, the smell of wild thyme filling your nostrils. Dust dances in the sunlight like a chaotic ballet, while the sun shines hot, reminding you exactly why you probably should have found a shady fig tree instead. Suddenly, from around a bend, a commotion catches your attention, like when you find out a cat video just got posted. But instead of innocent feline antics, you spot a man laid out on the ground, looking like he had just lost a boxing match against a camel with a vendetta. It's not just a light scrap, no. This traveler is beaten and stripped of all his worldly goods, lying half dead on the road, as if he just filmed a dramatic reenactment of life's unfortunate difficulties. You might think, oh no, what a tragedy. But hang on. Here comes the plot twist, as two figures appear on the dusty horizon like over-enthusiastic prom dates avoiding the dance floor. First up is a priest, clad in finely woven linen, his robe glistening like a fancy napkin at a banquet. Surely he would help, right? But instead, he sidesteps the poor man as if he were a low-budget obstacle course, muttering something about ritual cleanliness, like some unfortunate excuse we've all, whispering tales of ancient wisdom, Or maybe just last week's gossip about which cat had more social media followers. The men glance at one another, eyebrows raised higher than the minarets of Medina, with silent, eccentric agreement that, yes, indeed, they must proceed. The shadows coax them closer like a dubious fortune teller, urging them to peer into the depths of an old crystal ball that may or may not contain answers, but definitely has a 50% chance of revealing your embarrassing toddler moments instead. As they pass room after room, your companions begin to share nervous chuckles, as if to lighten the mood while trying not to trip over invisible stairs. "If you see a ghost, just offer it some dates. They love that stuff," quips one of your friends, instantly regretting that half-formed joke. Delighted by the absurdity, you chuckle quietly. For what is life without a sprinkle of humor amid haunted echoes? Those crumbling stone walls must know 1,000 secrets, and it's only fair you pluck a few from them. Though you can't help but think these stone sentinels might have heard better stories than your own peculiar adventures at an office cubicle. However, time hesitates, and before you know it, profound silence envelops the atmosphere like a favorite old blanket, comfortable and slightly shabby. What do we even expect to find in here? A relic from the Prophet's days? A very confused Dajjal? Or perhaps a surprise cat party? Muses your imagination with delightful absurdity. Perhaps the most comical twist is that, as history would have it, they might stumble upon ancient manuscripts, or even the charming misadventures of the past, all smushed up together with epic quests and heartfelt encounters. Little do they know that future jesters will regale tales of this very moment, spinning legends that sparkle with both tales of wonder and the delightful irony that fate often operates on a cosmic sense of mischief. But for now, it all hangs in the balance as they step deeper into the shadows, the air thick with mystery, anticipation, and maybe just a hint of divine intervention. Who knew exploring would be such a fascinating mix of the thrilling and the unknown? With that thought, dear listeners, allow your thoughts to drift into restful slumber, dreaming of every leap of faith that brought you here, to this moment where shadows dance and the legacies of the past laugh 1,000 echoes into the present. Stay with us. The adventure has only just begun. Chapter 17. The Imposing Man Within. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Tonight, we enter a tale more peculiar than a camel trying to blend in at a peacock party. Picture this. It's 6:30 CE, the aroma of freshly baked bread wafting through the air, mingling with the whispers of uncertainty. We find ourselves in a place where decisions mean life or death, and the stakes are high, higher than your cousin Ahmed's karaoke ambitions at last year's wedding. Imagine a gathering of men who have braved the elements. They're a motley crew, looking about as anxious as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, stepping quietly into the dark recesses of a monastery that seems to bend the very laws of shadow and light. The moment you cross the threshold, the sounds of the outside world dim like a fading memory, and the weight of unspeakable secrets presses down like that family heirloom couch you swore you'd get rid of, but somehow can't part with at family gatherings. As you shuffle deeper inside, the musty scent envelops your senses, a cocktail of damp stone, ancient wood, and perhaps a hint of something sweet and mysterious. With every step, the echo of your footfalls dances with the specters of the past. Suddenly, the air grows charged, thick with tension, as if the very walls have secrets to share, begging for the right ears to listen. And there, in the heart of this clandestine cavern, you encounter him, a gigantic man, cloaked in an aura of captivity. He sits, still as a statue, but not quite as serene. You feel as if he could snap at any moment, like a coiled spring, just waiting for release. The sheer size of him could put an elephant to shame. Seriously, if he were any bigger, he'd need a special permit just to walk through doorways. Around him, shadows swirl, as if trying to engage in a game of hide and seek, the flickering light casting an ever-dancing silhouette that seems to interpret the man's emotions. Resignation, perhaps? Anger? Or was it confusion, akin to your uncle when he attempts to navigate the TV remote at family gatherings? "Who dares to approach?" rumbled the very fabric of the air around you, like a thunderstorm suffering from an identity crisis. A nervous chuckle escapes your lips, reminding you of that one time you laughed too loudly during a serious moment in a movie. Yes, the kind of laugh that demands a polite shushing from the people around you. Your companions glance at one another, their eyes wide, a mixture of bravery and sheer lunacy that makes you wonder if they accidentally indulged in the local hallucinogen, sweetened with candied figs. "Shall we ask him how he got there?" one whispers, clearly attempting humor to ease the tension. "Maybe he lost a bet in a game of camels versus lions." The gigantic man's gaze pierces through the darkness, cutting straight through your attempt at levity. His presence is magnetic, as if he's a long-lost friend of the earth itself, and you're drawn toward him, despite every fiber of your being telling you to shuffle back into the shadows. "Why have you come?" he asks again, his voice now a rough whisper. Each word feels like a pebble being tossed into a vast well, plunging into depths that echo far and wide. Surely those echoes carry tales older than time. You ponder the question and realize that the answer is anything but simple. Here you stand, amidst uncertainty and shadows thicker than a miscommunication about the missing biryani at the last family dinner. A weight settles on your shoulders. Your purpose, your intentions swirling around in your mind like a flock of birds confused by sudden changes in the wind. "Stories," someone finally exclaims, as if this revelation could shatter the tense atmosphere like one might break a piñata at a child's birthday party. "We've come for stories, tales of bravery and treachery, of myths and divinity, anything that can help us understand the frightening world outside." In that moment, the man's demeanor shifts. A flicker of amusement lights up his features as he shifts slightly, each movement causing shadows to escape like startled mice. "Ah, indeed, stories are powerful. But be warned, some tales are richer than others, like a smooth cup of hot cocoa against a winter chill, while others might leave a bitter taste on your tongue. Are you prepared for the journey?" You nod, heart racing like a hen in a rush before the soup pot. The giant begins weaving a saga, one filled with intense battles, divine encounters, and the specter of fear that lurks at the edges of understanding. It's a turning point. Your heart swells with anticipation. For every word he speaks, new realms open. As his voice wraps around you like a warm shawl worn during a chilly Medina night, you settle in for the roller coaster of nostalgia, laughter, and enlightenment. Here, in the shadows, amidst a man too large for any ordinary story, a tale begins that will bridge the realms of your mundane life to the extraordinary unknown that defines your world. A journey filled with whimsy, revelation, and perhaps laughter to carry you off to dreamland. Stay with us as we continue this serene yet exhilarating voyage, where shadows dance and divine encounters await, reminding us that every tale has the potential to illuminate even the darkest corners of our lives. As you drift off, keep your heart open, for our adventure has only just begun.
Chapter 18. The Colossal Prisoner. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Picture this. The sun hangs lazily in the sky, as if it's been feasting on too many dates, and we're traveling back to the year 630 CE, when the world of Medina was as vibrant as a bustling market on a Friday. The streets are alive with chatter, grabbing bread fresh from the oven, navigating a maze of vendors selling everything from shimmering silks to spicy lentils, and perhaps even dodging a flock of overly ambitious goats as they make their escape from, well, who knows where. But tonight, we embark on a tale thicker than your grandmother's grape leaves, diving into the depths of a dark monastery where mysteries abound
and not a single person has had their coffee yet. As we step away from the fragrant marketplace and tread into shadowy corners, one question curls up in the back of your mind. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to encounter someone so imposing that even your reflection would hesitate to look them in the eye? Congratulations! You've just woken up in a place that feels as ominous as forgetting your mother-in-law's birthday. 630 CE, the year of delegations, and we're in Medina, where the atmosphere is thick with anticipation, like a curtain just about to rise on the biggest show in the city. As your senses awaken, you're met with a curious sight, a colossal man, sitting chained in the dim light of a cell. No, he isn't your favorite wrestler preparing for a match. This man is more massive than a rock-solid food platter at a family gathering. Thick iron rings clasp his hands to his neck, rendering his upper body immobilized, while his bulky legs are shackled to the floor, leaving him barely able to shift in his seat. You might wonder if this chains showcase a designer label or if they were left over from the last big sale, but that's far less important than the sheer magnitude of the man himself. Honestly, if he were any larger, he'd need to register as a separate suburb. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate the ridiculousness of his predicament. Here he sits, practically the poster child for reasons not to skip leg day. Can you imagine how cumbersome it would be to shower with those chains? Or, let's be real, can you even picture him trying to squeeze into a pair of modern skinny jeans? As if his situation could get any more intimidating, every glance at him evokes a blend of awe and confusion. I mean, does he even get to choose what to have for dinner? Or is that also weighed down by the chains? Nearby, a group of men stands gathered in a mix of intrigue and anxiety, their voices lowered as if speaking any louder might awaken the sleeping beasts in the shadows. You wonder, what were they thinking? Were they calculating how many dishes they'd need to order to accommodate this giant? Or perhaps they were crafting a plan, a daring rescue operation that is more convoluted than trying to fold a fitted sheet. Who dares to approach? His voice thunders like a missed cue in a comedy show, sending shivers up your spine as you realize that it's not just the magnitude of his physique that is terrifying. It's the weight of his life, constrained within the confines of those iron chains. Your heart races, and you can't help but release a nervous laugh. It's like that moment in a horror film when the unsuspecting victim veers off the path and unwittingly wanders into danger. Do they not know this is a terrible idea? Clearly, humor is the only line of defense against the overwhelming aura this colossal man emits. Your companions exchange glances. One whispers, "Maybe he lost a bet, or perhaps went too far with a game of charades." Every one of them appears equally bemused and bewildered, ready to either engage or flee like startled gazelles at the slightest movement. "Why have you come?" he inquires again. But this time, there's a tenderness beneath his rough exterior, a flicker of understanding that suggests he too has tales to share, stories woven with threads of bravery and choice. His voice, like rough velvet, encourages you to lean closer, to feel the weight of the world upon his shoulders, as if he carries the burdens of all humanity within the confines of his chains. In that moment, you realize the question directed at you is not just an invitation, it's a challenge. What have you to offer? Would it be an anecdote about your last encounter with a surly barista, or the hilarity of waiting too long for your salad, only to receive a misshapen wrap instead? Just like an onlooker at a circus, you can't help but be fascinated by the strange spectacle before you. Gathering your wits, someone finally speaks up, declaring, "We've come for stories, tales that stretch beyond your stature, journeys that traverse fear and hope." You almost don't believe your ears. The gravity of their request could potentially latch on to the giant's tale, weaving it into a tapestry that could inspire nations, or at least fuel a good coffee shop discussion later. With a glimmer of mischief in his eyes, the gigantic man replies, "Ah, indeed. Stories hold power. But beware, they come with lessons, much like a classic dinner that tries to rule your palate. Are you prepared for such a feast?" Each of you nods eagerly, heart rates climbing like that one ridiculously intense scene in a thriller where everything seems to hang in the balance. He leans back slightly, those chains rattling like a symphony of forgotten stories. And so begins a tale that binds you all in its magnitude, revealing hidden worlds beyond the shackles of everyday existence. As you traverse the contours of his journey, one filled with twisty problems and triumphant solutions, you realize his story isn't just a grand tale. It's a mirror reflecting your uncertainties, fears, and even desires. Within his words lies a hidden wisdom, a doorway inviting you deeper into these
mysteries of life itself. As he weaves snippets of past encounters, divine experiences, and heartwarming victories, your heart follows suit, riding the undulating waves of laughter, tears, and the kind of self-reflection that leaves you rolling along with comfort food thoughts. And soon enough, you find yourself drifting, floating into the embrace of stories that promise to illuminate even the darkest nights. So remain here with us as we dive deeper into the cosmos of this colossal tale, where the confusion of life's vast tapestry unfolds, reminding us that even in the grip of uncertainty, a single story can unravel the cords that bind us to fear, leading us into the gentle embrace of understanding, enlightenment, and maybe, just maybe, a pinch of laughter before drifting off to sleep. Chapter 19. The Curious Inquiry of the Chained Man. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Tonight, we plunge into a narrative thicker than a bowl of creamy hummus. Close your eyes and picture this. It's the year 630 CE, and the Middle Eastern sun is sweltering like a steam room designed by someone who really loves sweating. We're in Medina, a lively city where even the camels seem to have a spring in their step, honing their strut like potential runway models. But here's a curveball. As you settle into this vivid environment, let's consider the intricacies of life back then. You may be wondering, in a bustling oasis of action, what delightful treachery lurks? Will there be any goat-related mishaps? What would it have been like to barter for dates while the perfect falafel wrap hangs tantalizingly close, just out of reach? Oh yes, these are the questions that keep us up at night. Besides, of course, that last piece of spicy samosa you regretfully devoured before bed. Take a moment to adjust your zippers, snuggle under your blankets, and let the melodious sound of our journey whisk your imagination away. Congratulations! You've just woken up inside a scene more bewildering than figuring out how many tablespoons are in a cup. You're about to witness a conversation with a man whose very predicament could make your mouth drop like you overheard your neighbor broadcasting their Netflix password. In the dim candlelight of a monastery cell, you stroll headfirst into the tale of a man so immense his reality has outgrown earthly limitations. He sits there, not exactly enjoying a refreshing drink of water, but you can't help but feel intrigued by him. He's chained, yet, despite his shackles that could probably hold back a small herd of elephants, there's a spark of curiosity in his eyes that glimmers brighter than the jewelry on a desert queen. You approach tentatively. Seriously, it's like navigating a treasure map that leads to both great fortune and mild embarrassment. "Who are you?" your companions whisper amongst themselves, half amused and half terrified. But indeed, a daunting voice emerges, broader than the discussions you'd have with your local barber about unsatisfactory haircuts. "I am the last in a long line of seekers, and I have questions about your world. What's the state of the date palm trees in Bisan?" Ah, the date palms. They stand as silent witnesses to history, swaying gently as if trying to snicker at the grand intricacies of life unfolding beneath their boughs. Picture this. These palms are not just a snack waiting to happen. They symbolize prosperity and vitality, marking the threshold of impending events like a harbinger of change. Like your aunt asking again when you'll finally settle down. "Bisan?" one of your companions exclaims. "Are you serious? It's like asking if my mother finally learned to cook without burning the rice."
The moment bursts with laughter as you collectively realize the neatly woven tapestry of history is sewn with threads of absurdities so relatable, even a goat would chuckle. Yet, there's gravity in the question, isn't there? The palms are intertwined with the prophecies of the coming times, whispers of signs that blur the lines between reality and fate. What glorious absurdity that a discussing giant would probe about palm trees, while some of you wonder why you've spent half your life figuring out how to assemble IKEA furniture without ending up in tears. With the weight of urgency, the colossal figure focuses in, eyes burning as brightly as the morning sun. "Tell me about their state," he repeats, a blend of desperation and intense curiosity in his voice. "Ah, my friend," you want to chuckle, "that's quite an existential inquiry. I mean, have you ever tried to navigate a grocery store on a Saturday? It's more chaotic than trying to herd ducks into a pool. Your mind races. Would date palms even matter when history is teetering on the edge? Fear not, a bold soul steps up. They stand strong. The trees in Bisan sway gracefully, branches heavy with fruit, showing the resilience of faith grounding us even amidst uncertainty. The atmosphere grows thick with contemplation, and you can't help but wonder, how often do we grasp the fragility of existence while swirling in the discomforts of distraction? It's comical, isn't it? Here we are, caught up in an age of pursuits that make us forget the stories that build our foundations, like arguing over who truly invented the falafel. As the tension in the room lightens momentarily, you marvel at the curious juxtaposition of life's trivialities against profound truths. What would it be like to embrace simplicity, to allow discussions about palm trees to hold the weight of 1,000 mysteries? It draws you further into the depths of history, the cultures and stories interwoven through time. The giant leans in, hair rustling lightly as he speaks. And do these palms not give hope? Are they not the whispers of change yet to come? And with a voice that reverberates like a steady drum, your companions respond, "Absolutely." Just like how Aunt Fatima finally splurged on a new rice cooker, sometimes change comes slow, but nourishes us in ways we can't always see. You laugh lightly, carrying that fluid joy as the humor aligns once again with gravity. Here is a world unraveling before your eyes, drawing connections that span centuries, reminding you that amid chains, be it metaphorical or literal, there's always laughter, hope, and perhaps even a recipe for success hidden in unexpected places. Every word serves not just as the binding between your shared humanity, but as a gentle nudge to dig deeper. Your heart swells a little, ready to accompany a tale that stretches beyond this dimly lit cell, toward a future held delicately in the hands of chain and chance, laughter and longing. If you've wondered what becomes of this discussion, stay with us. In the tapestry of life, where palm trees intertwine with prophecy, there's more to explore ahead. As the giant begins to share tales that paint vivid pictures, stories rich and tangled, remember the power of words to shape lives, guide our endeavor, and nestle into our dreams as we drift off tonight, letting the gentle rhythm of history envelop us like a cozy blanket of starlit skies. Chapter 21. The Traveler's Trouble. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart like a cup of cozy herbal tea on a chilly winter's night. Soothing, aromatic, and guaranteed to make you feel as safe as a baby wrapped in a burrito blanket. Speaking of burritos, ever wonder how they might taste if they were made with ancient grains and baked under a warm, Middle Eastern sun? Tonight, we're diving into the tumultuous world of first-century Judea, a time when people were more concerned about sandals than social media, and the only swiping happening was of bread from the baker's stall. Imagine waking up to a land filled with dirt roads instead of glittery highways, where chariots zoomed past like disgruntled bees with their afternoon coffee. Before we embark on this narrative pilgrimage, I invite you to take a moment to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Only if it brings you joy, of course. Crunching on some unusually crunchy figs right now? Just be careful not to make a crummy mess. So, let's set the scene for this wild and dusty journey. As you prepare to drift into dreams, ask yourself, what's the deal with all those dusty sandals? Do they come with a warranty? How does one avoid stepping into what we would later identify as leavings on the road? And if you had to transport everything you owned on horseback, would you remember to pack a pillow or even a fig for snacking? Now, congratulations. You've just woken up on a dusty road in Judea, circa 2833 AD. The land where every decision feels weighty. The bread is heavier than your existential pilings of responsibilities, and whispers about the Messiah cling in the air like early morning mist. Imagine this. You're plodding along, sandals scraping against the coarse gravel, the smell of wild thyme filling your nostrils. Dust dances in the sunlight like a chaotic ballet, while the sun shines hot, reminding you exactly why you probably should have found a shady fig tree instead. Suddenly, from around a bend, a commotion catches your attention, like when you find out a cat video just got posted. But instead of innocent feline antics, you spot a man laid out on the ground, looking like he had just lost a boxing match against a camel with a vendetta. It's not just a light scrap, no. This traveler is beaten and stripped of all his worldly goods, lying half dead on the road, as if he just filmed a dramatic reenactment of life's unfortunate difficulties. You might think, oh no, what a tragedy. But hang on. Here comes the plot twist, as two figures appear on the dusty horizon like over-enthusiastic prom dates avoiding the dance floor. First up is a priest, clad in finely woven linen, his robe glistening like a fancy napkin at a banquet. Surely he would help, right? But instead, he sidesteps the poor man as if he were a low-budget obstacle course, muttering something about ritual cleanliness, like some unfortunate excuse we've all squishing into the wet sand with a soft squish, like they'd all just accidentally stepped onto that one particularly squishy spot after a heavy rain that nobody wants to talk about. And how doth the tides treat our palms and olives? He continued, ambling into territory that would make even the most attentive neighbor raise their eyebrows. Do they not sway with the promises of what is to come? An elderly local piped up, 3 pots of olive oil are now 1 pot a week for us, thanks to the drought, but the fish are still swimming mighty fine. Ah, the unintentional humor bubbling like a cheerful brook. Life here was interspersed with challenges, yet Tamim, with every nuanced inquiry about the water, painted a landscape of possibilities, reminding you of warm bread emerging from the oven, making your mouth water while your heart races with anticipation. Back to our enigmatic gazer, one thought rippled through his mind. What if this was not just about water? What if these waves mirrored something deeper? A world where divine signs splashed all around like children in a fountain. As the sun began to dip lower like an unnoticed toddler slipping down the playground slide, Tamim pushed his weight back against the warmth of the rocks. Indeed, he declared, tilting his head thoughtfully as he stared into the shifting colors. Water reveals the stories of our lives. When the levels rise and fall, they reflect our moments of joy and sorrow. Just as today we ponder on perhaps a greater conspiracy at play, an echo from the future concerning our own journeys. The crowd murmured, some nodding as if they'd just realized they forgot to season their food. This moment was more than a mere chat about fish. It became a philosophical pondering strewn with laughter and revelation. And so, amid the laughter of friends and neighbors, they cherished an exchange that would resonate through the ages, a gentle reminder that even the simplest inquiries could unveil the deepest truths buried within their hearts. As Tamim looked out over the vastness of the water, with his companions surrounding him, each one caught in a moment of spirited contemplation, he became a beacon for the wisdom that flowed like the river under the starlit sky. Stay tuned as we dive even deeper, friends, into the remarkable tales that await us. After all,
Even a measure of water has a story, and within that story lies the essence of hope, wonder, and perhaps even a hint of mischief. Now, as night falls softly upon the Sea of Galilee, let's allow ourselves to drift into a realm where tales wash over us like gentle waves, encouraging our sleepy minds that tomorrow is always full of promise as we explore what lies beyond those rippling waters.
Chapter 21. A question that pierces the fabric of history. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Tonight, we embark on a quest more puzzling than figuring out your neighbor's secret for that unbeaten Guinness World Record lawn. Picture this. The sands of time have settled in 630 CE, an epoch bursting with conflict, faith, and a twist of fate sharper than your brother-in-law's sense of humor during family gatherings. Suddenly, you find a curious figure whose mind brims with questions, as vibrant as the cloth of a merchant's tent. What if a lone man, dressed in attire reminiscent of your cousin's questionable fashion choices, suddenly puts you in the spotlight? So, tell me, he queries, fixing his gaze on you with an intensity that makes you consider gulping down your water like it's the last drop at a desert oasis. What do you think about the illiterate prophet? How did he rise to prominence and navigate the treacherous waters of conflict with the Arabs? Ah, the questions roll in like waves crashing upon a ship's hull. You must wonder, how did an unlettered man with no political power become a beacon of hope? Did people argue over the best shade of camel for their camels as they debated his significance? Were there momentous discussions over dates, olives, and, of course, the eternal question of whether the best battles were fought with humor or swords? And just why was there an olive tree in every tale about patience? As your mind wanders down this sandy lane, you find yourself caught between the weight of history and comedy, glimpsing at the faces of an eclectic crowd who might just as well be contemporary opinions on social media, each one ready to debate the merits of enlightenment versus ignorance, much like a Facebook comment section gone rogue. Imagine the sun rising over Medina, its glow wrapping around you like a warm blanket of possibility. This is where our story unfolds. Picture the hustle and bustle of the marketplace, how the scents of spices mingle with conversations that echo dreams, ambitions, and more than a pinch of gossip. The very air you breathe vibrates with tension and hope, much like a pen in the hands of an anxious scholar. Among the throng is Tamim Ad-Dari, a seeker of truth, listening to the swirling whispers. He leans closer to those around him, eager to tap into the vast pool of knowledge circulating like news of the latest caravan. What he stumbles upon is not merely a tale of glory, but a narrative that intertwines with a myriad of emotions, the kind that leaves one chuckling in exasperation. Muhammad, this illiterate prophet, a voice asserts, causing heads to nod as if each person had fallen under a magical spell. He held no sword, no armies, just words. His weapon? A message more powerful than all, challenging the very foundations of our beliefs. Indeed, as you listen, you can see this courageous spirit, like a performer unafraid of the spotlight. The deserts have witnessed a revolution unlike any other, a transformation fueled by purpose, as vibrant as the vivid colors of freshly dyed fabric being sold nearby. Every word he spoke appeared to become a brushstroke that painted hope onto the canvas of despair tearing through tribes, each verse resonating in hearts like the delicate strumming of a lute. The crowd had morphed from passive listeners to enthralled participants, hanging on every word. "And peril awaited him," another local chimes in, his voice rising with excitement. "With each proclamation, the world seems to tilt on its axis, balancing between loyalty and hostility. Like a camel carrying too many dates." Laughter bubbles through the air, illustrating how humor can coexist with gravity, making the stories more relatable. Their expressions transform, now mirroring the tales of trepidation and transformation, the struggles endured,
the joys celebrated. As Tamim watches this lively exchange, his heart swells with curiosity. Was this thin man, entrusted by the divine, merely human, or a character more celestial than anyone realized? There was a mystery at play, and he felt compelled to unravel it, slowly tethering his fate to the stories of others. The questions deepen, intertwining amidst the chatter like roots of ancient trees gripping the earth. Among the laughter and musings, he inquires louder than before. But what about the challenges he faced? Were they not woven with threads of absurdity, like a tangle of foreign tongues debating how to pronounce mutton at the marketplace? Ah, the crowd titters. Yes, it was no ordinary tale that emerged from the heart of a desert. It was drenched with human emotions that resonate even today. Tamim, now lost in the web of thoughts spun around him, postulates. Consider this. Despite adversities that could fill a sea, people rallied together through laughing, crying, feasting, and fasting. Was this not the gift of community? A blend of joy and comedy amid hurdles larger than life itself. What an incredible tapestry unwinds itself through these musings. He pictures the people grappling with new beliefs, something akin to adjusting to a new social trend, where each person seems to play a part in a grand production, complete with laughter, tears, and awkward moments that make you cringe yet rejoice in the absurdity of existence. Yet there's more to Tamim's contemplation than humor. At the heart of it all, he wishes to know, what binds this diverse crowd? Each has their voice, their conflicts, their humor woven into a greater narrative. As they laugh, argue, share despairing stories, and hold steadfastly to hope, their profound connections illuminate the urging need for unity in the face of adversity. We'll rendezvous soon with this captivating crowd, and the tale that drifts along like the gentle breeze over the dunes. The history they create echoes into tomorrow, a reminder that even the tumultuous storms lead to
sun-drenched peace more glorious than the grandest banquet. Now, dear listeners, nestle into your cozy pillows and drift further into this mesmerizing tapestry. Chapter 24. Lords of Land and Frequent Messes of Misery? Let's talk about power. Specifically, the sort of power that doesn't come from wealth in shiny gold coins, but from an abundant supply of muddy land and the very human ability to tell others what to do. Welcome to the merry era of feudal lords, where the real estate market was a wild ride and land was king. Today, you find yourself in a realm where the only thing more inflated than the sense of superiority of many nobles is the number of peasants getting ready to dig more potatoes. Congratulations, you've just woken up in 650 AD, surrounded by the picturesque yet rather chaotic landscape of the early Middle Ages, where horse savers are likely more reliable than accountants, and each day is one thrilling will they or won't they drama about the weather. You may be wondering, have you inadvertently joined an episode of House Hunters, Feudal Edition? And why does everyone seem more concerned about the condition of their horse than the contents of their pantry? As you step out of your makeshift dwelling, a modest affair that can best be described as a combination of minimalism gone awry and, let's not mince words, a goat's worst nightmare, you can almost hear the distant hum of feudal life. It's the soundtrack of booming voices, clanging tools, and, let's be honest, occasional yelps of frustration. Definitely not the serene symphony of nature you may have been hoping for. What's that smell? Yes, the delightful aroma of wet earth mixed with the sweet undertones of livestock. If you close your eyes and inhale deeply, you can practically taste the glory of yesterday's dinner wafting up from under your neighbor's floorboards. It's a sensation reminiscent of the best vintage from a charred tin cup, if you've ever had the misfortune to sip from one. Remember, socializing in the early Middle Ages was a bit like staring into the abyss, pleasurable for a fleeting moment, but filled with the living embodiment of your last meal.
Feudal lords were rather like the social media influencers of the time, only instead of trendy jumpsuits, their power came from having more land than your neighbor. If the medieval Instagram was a thing, every lord would have been posting pictures of their finest farmland, complete with a dramatic filtering effect to make the mud look less muddy. They ruled with an iron fist, or more accurately, an off-brand auto pen, ensuring that peasants paid their dues, which mostly consisted of giving up their hopes of a leisurely afternoon in exchange for digging yet another hole in the ground. Have you ever considered the intriguing idea that these lords saw themselves as not merely overlords of land, but masters of questionable life choices? Every castle towered over the nearby village like a looming giant, people saying, "Look, there goes Lord Grumblepot of the tottering castle. I hear he had to chase his own horse out of a bog last week. What?"
Voices attempting to dissect this proclamation.
Did he really just say that? What's his backstory? Just how tall is this guy anyway, you ask, curiously eyeing the flustered townsfolk as they dissect the implications. It's like watching a tightly knitted group of friends unravel at a surprise party gone wrong. Amidst this absurdity, the giant is adamant, like that nephew at a family function who insists on doing the chicken dance, no matter how many times you plead for him to stop. "The holy cities will remain untouched," he roars, sending more waves of disbelief rippling through your cozy circle of citizens as they weigh the severity of his words against their dinner plans. But let's pause for a moment in this whirlpool of emotion and dive deeper into our protagonist, Tamim Ad-Dari. You see, in the heart of Medina, a community thrives on stories, destinations, and must-haves, much like the latest smartphone craze of modern times. Belief is sewn into the fabric of their lives, yet here comes Tamim carrying a tale heavier than a sack of rice. Suddenly, laughter breaks through the tension. A local merchant snickers and quips, "So, is this Dajjal guy going to challenge the prophet to a duel? Perhaps he should try to open a coffee shop first and test the waters." Ah, humor amidst chaos, much like your favorite uncle delivering dad jokes at the dinner table. It's evident that even in ancient Medina, people know how to deal with overwhelming situations through laughter and camaraderie. Yet, as this presentation unfolds, there's an underlying current, a serious inquiry into the nature of belief, deception, and what these revelations might mean for their future. As Tamim continues to narrate his experience in awe-inspiring detail, every listener leans in with anticipation, teetering on the edge of understanding. They recognize the weight of this moment, not just as an entertaining tale spun under the dated awning of a marketplace, but as a potential precursor to the changes the world might soon witness. The mood shifts from light-hearted jests to contemplative thoughts about destiny, faith, and the consequences of our choices. Just as laughter softens the heavy atmosphere, it wheezes out like air from a deflated balloon, leaving a space charged with anticipation and a tinge of fear. Yes, the story of the giant captive is bizarre, but it's one that could reshape the essence of their very existence, leading them down paths that zigzag between faith and reality. As night descends over Medina, the first stars shimmer in the indigo sky, a reminder of the eternal struggle ignited within the human spirit. Embracing this revelation, the townsfolk spill into the streets, ignited with thoughts deeper than spices. Their hearts are bound with questions and a flicker of fear, blending the absurdity of existence with profound nuances of belief. And while they might not have answers for everything, they are, after all united by stories that connect them through the ages. So, as you drift off tonight, let the gentle roller coaster of Tamim's tale guide you into your dreams, where giants and giants of faith roam realms only known to heartbeats and whispers in the night. Now, close your eyes and let your imagination paint the scene. For tomorrow, our journey continues. Chapter 9. The Secret Wisdom of Parables. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord. like that first embrace of a cozy blanket on a cold winter's night. Tonight, we step into a scene more vibrant than a peacock in a paint store, as we join our dear Savior Jesus speaking to his close disciples. It's a magnificent time of parable sharing, a time when the dust of Judea whirls like confetti, and profound wisdom is tucked inside the everyday stories of farming, fishing, and, perhaps, the occasional overly ambitious camel. Imagine finding yourself in an amphitheater filled with curious minds, all bustling about like bees in a flower patch, wondering what the pollen of wisdom will produce. Did they ever find it awkward to ask questions, fearing their inquisition might lead to a divine, "you should know this" stare? Have you ever been a little too zealous with your hands while sharing a story, causing your friend to wonder if you swallowed a handful of butterflies instead of your pride? Or maybe even whipped out a terrible pun in response, only for it to die like a flat soda at a summer picnic? Ah, the relatable perils of conversation. Congratulations, you've just woken up circa 28 to 33 AD, right in the heart of glorious Judea. Picture vibrant marketplaces buzzing with chatter as merchants hawk their wares, while the ever-present aroma of fresh figs and bread dances around you like a celestial ballerina. That's right. Allow the scents to wash over you like waves on a beach. They cradle you with an embrace both familiar and unknown. As you settle into this ancient milieu, you notice Jesus gathering his small flock of earnest disciples, who are eagerly perched at his feet. His expression is serious yet kind, as if he's preparing to reveal the secrets of the universe, which, judging by the looks on their faces, can't come soon enough. Let's not kid ourselves. These disciples are as eager as kids on a field trip to the Roman baths, bursting with anticipation. The atmosphere crackles with tension, excitement palpable, like the tension in a tightly wound dough ready to rise. Now, the moment has arrived. Jesus leans in, speaking in a gentle but commanding tone. Do you remember the parable of the sower? Heads nod, some even lean closer, as if they might catch the whispers of eternity lodged among the wheat. He tells them the wise farmer who spreads seeds on varying ground teaches deeper truths about the kingdom of heaven hidden within the soil of everyday life. It's not just about crops. It's about what we value and nurture in our souls. Imagine being one of those lucky disciples, maybe Simon, with dust still clinging to his sandals and his stomach grumbling louder than a Roman circus. As Jesus explains the parables, Simon can't help but think, wait, am I the rocky ground? Or perhaps I'm more like the rich soil that grows abundantly. More like compost, if I'm honest. And just... Neighbor nudges you, half amused, half nervous. I wonder if this Dajjal would be better at making lemonade than he is at spreading chaos, he chuckles, a nervous snicker escaping your lips. Who knew a tale of impending doom could provide an unexpected Comedy Central moment in the marketplace? As the prophet's confirmation reverberates through the gathering, an atmosphere thick with thoughtful murmurs envelops you. What does this mean for us? You can't help but wonder. Will we need to stockpile dates or plot strategies against the impending doom? Perhaps a yearly festival dedicated to one-eyed creatures would keep the spirit alive while keeping fear at bay. You find yourself caught between fear and laughter, a clever strategy because humor is often the best defense against anxiety. The realization hits you. Amidst warnings and reality, levity can offer a flicker of hope. And now, as the prophet reaffirms the essence of faith, his words serve to remind you, and everyone around, of your collective strength, resilience, and connection. Fear not, he exclaims, for the sacred cities shall remain untouched by his malice. You exhale a sigh of relief that stretches through the crowd like the gentle breeze lazily tossing palm fronds above. It's as if the very air around you is infused with hope, an intricate blend of trust and belief in the divine will. But the night isn't done yet. Curious giggles emerge from the back of the gathering as a cheeky lad shouts, "Does this mean we can start a Dajjal watch group? Maybe we can sell t-shirts." Amidst the serious tone of prophecy, this burst of youthful exuberance
manages to bring chuckles, the kind that lighten the weight of heavy hearts. As the people disperse, you slowly find yourself walking back home, a lightness to your step. The stories you carried with you now transform into a tapestry of rich history, woven with warnings, absurdities, and laughter, sealing a bond of community tighter than a family secret. Head nestled between the comforting embrace of your pillow, you let the waves of Medina's market wash over you. The story echoes with laughter, reaffirmation, and strength, the signature melody of moments shared, tying you to the powerful narrative of faith blessed by time. So close your eyes and imagine the silhouettes of vendors, the pulpit's grandeur, and the hushed awe as the prophet's words carry you into the embrace of dreams, where even the Dajjal finds himself outwitted by the vibrant spirit of humor and faith. Tomorrow we'll dive deeper, unraveling more layers of this epic tale. Sleep tight, and let the echoes of Medina cradle your dreams. Cradle.
Chapter 24. Gifts Under the Sunlit Canopy. Salam alaikum, dear listeners. Find your favorite cozy spot, ideally one where no socks mysteriously vanish, because tonight we meander gracefully into the sunlit courtyard of Medina, circa 630 CE. Picture this, the sun casting golden rays like an overflowing jug of honey, illuminating the faces of eager townsfolk and dignitaries, all gathered in splendid anticipation. Can you feel that? The warmth pressing down like a hug from a friendly camel. But before we dive into the story, let me ask you a few pressing questions. Questions that will tickle your imagination. Do you believe that people could barter a goat for an everlasting friendship? Or perhaps you've wondered if ancient Arabs had their version of Uber to transport the finest Arabian steeds. I mean, would you ever engage in negotiations for a horse without trying to see if it had a horse pool rating? Shouldn't it come with a multi-point inspection? As we prepare to travel back in time, I encourage you to dim the lights around you, feel the gentle breeze through your window, or, just turn on a fan if it's not too breezy outside, and let your body sink deeper into comfort. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 630 CE, the year where everyone suddenly realized that walking to work is just not as cool as it sounds. Now, imagine strolling beneath the wide, welcoming canopy of the courtyard, where the tantalizing aroma of spices dances in the air like a playful breeze, mingling with the slight saltiness of the surrounding sea, a sensory experience better than any luxury hotel buffet spread you could imagine. Amidst this delightful chaos, one figure stands out, Tamim Ad-Dari. He's about to become the talk of the town in a way that even your neighbor's loud lawnmower on Saturday morning couldn't match. Sporting an ensemble that screams, "I'm a traveler and I've got stories to tell," Tamim saunters in, brandishing gifts fit for royalty. Is it a golden crown? A diamond-encrusted pillow? Nope, just an exceptionally well-bred Arabian horse and a brilliantly embroidered cloak. But hey, if you're going to impress the esteemed Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a stylish cloak is basically your fashion equivalent of a cherry on top of a particularly scrumptious cake. You watch as the crowd buzzes with excitement, like bees around a particularly tasty flower. What happens next is more anticipated than a spontaneous dance party. Each eye is glued to Tamim as he approaches the heart of the gathering, where the prophet stands with an air of calm authority that could likely convince a turbulent sea to settle down. "Behold," he exclaims, his voice soaring above the tangle of conversations, "I come bearing gifts, such treasures that I hope will warm the hearts of those gathered here." You squint against the sun, as if trying to mentally teleport yourself into one of the ancient scrolls detailing this mysterious yet vibrant moment. He presents the magnificent horse, who looks far more dignified than most of the folks crowding around it. This beauty, Tamim declares, could outrun the wildest breezes of the desert. A ripple of awe sails through the onlookers. Who wouldn't want a horse that could make you feel like a wind-surfing champion? Next, it's time for the cloak, which you have to admit is pretty fancy. Even the locals can't help but think, "I'd look great in that."
But the pièce de résistance is about to unfold. As everyone admires the splendor before them, Tamim produces a bottle of wine, as if handing over the final card in a game of mischievous poker. Now, here's where things get a tad tricky. You can practically hear a collective gasp echo through the courtyard. Wine in Medina? In front of the Prophet? This is like trying to serve chocolate cake at a health convention. It's just not going to fly. "Ah, but I must decline this one," says the Prophet, a smile creeping onto his face like a gentle wave breaking on shore. "You see, my dear Tamim, we've discussed this before. Your taste in fine things aside, wine just isn't on our menu anymore. Not in this house." The crowd erupts in gentle laughter, amused and relieved. It's as if the moment dissolves the weight of ancient expectations. Wine? No, thank you. Their new ethical barometer has been set, and it feels great, like the moment you finally discover the hat that fits just right after a long day of trying them on. Tamim chuckles, his face lighting up with understanding and camaraderie. "Of course, O Prophet. Perhaps something slightly less intoxicating, like freshly squeezed date juice? It has a delightful sweetness that could brighten anyone's day." And just like that, the courtyard, once vibrating with questions, now buzzes with laughter and warmth. Each person present shares in this moment of levity, realizing that life has many flavors, and sometimes it's the simplest ones that call you home. You find yourself reminiscing about your own gatherings, the shared moments over cups of tea, or the hilariously awkward exchanges with family during holidays. You've come to understand that these are the moments that forge bonds, even in the most serious of times. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting a gentle glow across the landscape, Tamim's gifts place him not just as a figure of generosity, but as a conduit of deeper understanding, an embodiment of faith and compassion, reminding everyone that life, like a beautifully woven tapestry, thrives on a delicious blend of the sacred and the ordinary. Sleep now, dear listeners, with visions of sunlit courtyards and the spirit of community wrapping around you like the best of cloaks. A restful night awaits, dipped in the laughter of Medina. Dreams filled with camels wearing sunglasses, and perhaps even a horse that can teach you how to dance. Until then, may the warmth of his stories cradle you to sleep, guiding you softly into the night. Chapter 24. A Scroll of Radiance. Salam alaikum, dear friends. Tonight, we embark on a journey brighter than that one time your uncle accidentally set off the fire alarm while trying to impress the guests with his chef skills. So, make sure your lights are dimmed, your curtains are drawn tight. This isn't a spy mission, but you never know who might peek in. And grab your ultimate comfort zone, a cozy blanket, a little snack, and maybe a sheepish grin as you think about the last time you tried to impress someone too. Now, let's be honest here. When you think of receiving a scroll with your life's achievements written on it, does your mind wander toward dramatic reveal parties where folks gasp at the astonishing details you've kept hidden for years? Oh my, she has volunteered at the shelter and borrowed your favorite books, but shh, that stays between us. But in the grand cosmic scheme of things, how exactly do you think it feels handing over this scroll? While floating on fluffy clouds, of course. Or standing there, trying not to whistle nervously as angels take a look at that 3-week-long Netflix binge you thought nobody noticed. As you settle in and let your imagination soar, let's think about our protagonist tonight, who is about to receive their record of deeds, a moment more magical than finding a $20 bill in an old jacket pocket. This isn't just any record, though. It's glowing with divine success and wrapped in the kind of radiance that would make even the sun do a double take. Congratulations. You've just woken up in 610 CE, smack in the middle of a bustling Arabian community. Yes, indeed. No spreadsheets early in the morning or coffee machines whirring the way. Here, it's all about the golden sands, date palms swaying in rhythm with the breeze, and the distant echoes of merchants showcasing their wares. Close your eyes for a moment.
and relish the warmth of the sun mingling with the sweet scent of incense wafting through the marketplace. Now picture this. You're not just any soul. You're a truly righteous one. Someone whose good deeds shine brighter than a polished brass spittoon in a local tavern. As you step forward in line, your heart trembles with anticipation. Peering over your shoulder, you witness others, some with expressions filled with anxiety and regret, like that time your cousin ate your lasagna and claimed to be allergic to leftovers. But you're all smiles and confidence, ready to embrace your record with open arms. As you approach the magnificent scales of justice, the mizan, it seems like stepping into a mesmerizing bazaar filled with colors and narratives beyond imagination. This is no ordinary system of weighing. This is cosmic, captivating, and a bit akin to mixing honey and vinegar, each action weighed with precision on the heavenly scale. You glance around and take in the majestic sight, shimmering orbs of good deeds gleaming brighter than the latest.
One that speaks of purpose and charity, a rare blend that could put even the most dazzling oil lamp to shame. As the sun dips below the horizon, the mosque transforms into a sanctum of serenity. You can almost hear Tamim sigh in satisfaction, as if he's just solved a major life equation, like discovering that dates go splendidly with every meal. Energies buzz in the air. Children scamper, parents smile, and Tamim is now the unofficial lamp champion of Medina. But there's a twist to this tale, just like the tangled threads of a new Persian rug. What if the Dajjal arrives with his own light show? Someone playfully suggests nearby. How would our little lamps fare against that? The laughter that follows carries a camaraderie that transcends the moment, binding them closer as they envision Tamim not just as an installer of lamps, but as a protector with bright ideas, both literally and figuratively. Just then, an elder from the crowd shakes his head and chuckles. If the Dajjal shows up, let's offer him some of Tamim's oil lamps. If he refuses, we'll know he's the real deal. There's a round of laughter followed by whispers of, well, what if he takes the lamps instead? In this newfound camaraderie, the mosque and its luminous lamps become more than mere oil and wicks. They symbolize the interwoven lives of those who gather within its walls, in laughter, in prayer, and in the spirit of community. Each flicker of light stands for hope, charity, and the boundless spirit of giving. Life continues in Medina, bustling with everyday joys, where the spirit of faith weaves through their gatherings like a melodious song, its tune lifted each time the sun dips low. From luminous oil lamps to the heartwarming laughter of neighbors, the essence of Tamim's noble act shines through, a testament to the power of light, love, and laughter in creating community. So, as we drift away from our adventures in the cozy warmth of Medina's oil lamps, let's cherish the moments we share with those around us, even if it's just over the simple glow of a lamp that guides us to our next story. Close your eyes, dear listeners, enveloped in laughter and light, wrapped snugly in dreams of lamps that illuminate both heart and home. And may you drift off to the sounds of a lively gathering under the vast Arabian sky. Sleep well.